Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
All right, welcome to the Mr. Bill podcast. This is episode 2. It's the second one. The first one was with Andrew Huang last week, the YouTuber guy. You know that guy?
No, but it's nice.
He's pretty cool. He's got like 2 million subs on YouTube, and
Oh shit!
yeah, he's cool. Sweet. Yeah. So, Anklepants Supersillyus. People probably know who you are anyway, but like,
Hello there.
yeah, for people who don't, I guess, who are listening, Anklepants is I've known for like 10 years, and you do like crazy live show stuff, and you're an animatronics technician and a prosthetics technician, and worked on like shitloads of film and stuff like that. And Supersillyus writes, I don't know, what would you call your music?
I don't know. It's kind of like psychedelic, cinematic adventure music, I guess. I don't know. I hate trying to reduce it to just a few genre words. But I mean, yeah, you've heard it.
Yeah.
I always have a hard time describing it, and then I say, hey, you listen to it, and you try and tell me what it is. And they listen to it, and they're like, well, I don't fucking know either.
Should maybe move this closer.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think like kind of maybe
Is
this
mine
much.
all right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems to be.
There we
Thanks,
go.
Logan.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
can
Also,
see it.
this is like a completely edited podcast. Meaning, if we
No,
like,
I know, yeah.
if we say some shit that's like fucked, you can be like, hey, actually, maybe I don't want that, to be honest.
Exactly.
Fair
Sounding
enough.
like so much of a prick is horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So
Edit out my squeaking chair.
but yeah, we can basically talk about whatever. We have like 2 hours or so to just talk about fucking everything.
I'll do my best to not just slowly squeak the chair.
I don't think it'll pick it up. I
Yeah.
think like we're getting such like a
Well, now I'm disappointed. That was going to be my whole,
Yeah.
my whole gag,
I'll be looking forward to that bit when I listen to it.
yeah. I want to talk about live show shit. We've talked about it already a ton, but like I just
Yeah.
want to like have a public record of that because like your live setup is just so fucked. The first thing that I was like that I thought was crazy was the fact that you fucking 3D print like most of the shit in your setup.
Yeah. In the new setup.
So you said you do that using you basically make these like CAD drawings in like Rhino or in ZBrush, and then
Yep.
you have like a 3D printer at your house, and then you just print parts,
Yeah.
and then within these parts you like mount circuit boards and you mount like controllers and all sorts of shit, and then you strap all of this to your body, and then that's
Yep.
kind of like the crux of your setup at the moment. And then all of those controllers send data into Max, and then Max kind of deals with it and scales it in different ways, and then that can control things in your music while you're performing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's, pretty much it's what you said. I mean, all of my instruments previously, that were completely self-built were built in more of a built with more conventional effects techniques that are from the prosthetic or animatronics workflow. So pattern making off objects is a lot of the time for building animatronics. You have an object, you cut like just a static form of an object into different across different planes, and then you create patterns, and then you know what sizes you're working with and things like this. But now I've got, like a lot of people have this technology now with the 3D scanner. So with the stuff I use, I actually use my back scan to get the dimensions to make those new back controls. So once upon a time, you would use life cast. I would do, you would get a life cast of your back and physically
a live cast
measure it.
is like a like you'd literally mold
Actually,
your
plaster
body.
plaster mold.
Yeah, plaster, and then maybe produce it for fiberglass, depending on what the next part of the process you're going to do is. But if you just want to reference, you'd get someone to just quickly pull an algin off your back, and then you would plaster into it with hessian to make it solid, and then you just use that as a template to measure, to make something for yourself in
Right,
this
yeah,
case.
yeah.
But now, I got a friend to just use my 3D scanner, scan my back just just a 1D panel of it in 3D and then import that into Rhino and then
3D
just start.
scanner, is it basically like a camera? Or
Yeah, it's actually a cheap one that has like only 1 millimeter resolution, so it's not something you can do for like super high resolution stuff, but you can, scan like large, something bigger than 1 millimeter. So a human body, it's really good. It does like decent resolution to produce templates and even things for like basic prosthetics. So in that case, start with the back scan, import that into Rhino, and then just start drawing 2D lines in Rhino, and then you extrude the lines. Like Rhino's a NURBS modeler, so it creates NURBS surfaces. But you start with 2D drawings, and then in that process, as the design comes along, you figure out where the controls are, where you can put printed circuit boards. You export curves from Rhino into PCB software, and use that as the board shape, and then you place all your components. And you start piecing together controllers, and and then that's kind of it. Like with that stuff, and the reason that I've got into the 3D printing, like I have FDM printers and DLP printers, it's like it's cheaper, and I can make duplicates. That's kind of the problem with me.
do you know the difference between FDM printing and DLP printing?
No.
I didn't know this either. Basically, a DLP printer is like way more high res, right? So you can like print like tiny little fucking weird parts and shit. And FDM printers like cheaper, but they print like bigger stuff.
Like the bigger like plastic kind of toys.
Yeah, so like the stuff that's like hanging off. Sorry, Anklepants is Ricard, I guess is the thing that's hanging off. We'll edit that shit. The thing that's hanging off is, what would you call it? A dress or a kilt or something in between?
Oh, it's actually meant to be a Datura plant because
Okay,
the original costume had a headdress that was a Datura flower, and then that was actually meant to be green.
Datura is fucking crazy. So do you know about this?
I do. I have not experienced it, but I'm
Me either, but I've seen
I'm pretty
people who have.
okay with that. I think for now.
Yeah, dude, it looks fucking insane from one.
Yeah, well, where I'm from, there's Datura plants growing in the river everywhere. It's like infested.
Can you is it something that people ingest by accident?
No, well, for me, like my first, of course, growing up there, you know the flower just because it's there, but you don't know what it does when you're a kid. But then in my town, there was a time where I think it was like more than 10 people all did Datura at once, like a few like older people than me, and I was working in the supermarket at that time, my first job, and they all came into town, just like turned the whole town inside out, like came into town naked, when going into the supermarket. Going up to the shopping trolley, one dude was like, someone's just shopping, and this naked dude comes in the shop and just like grabs the fucking trolley, give me my shoes back, to the wheels of the trolley. And then there's a guy in town, like a guy I know, and he apparently got stuck in the trip, but now I've later found out that it's other things that cause that, but he has this relapse for his whole life now. It's apparently to do with Datura, but it's not, but apparently it can do that. It can like...
I think that whole language, though, like stuck in a trip, is really just like somebody took a psychedelic drug of some sort, and then it just like brought out some sort of mental illness that they were predisposed to, like schizophrenia or something, and now it's just like it just caused them to have that. Can you even get stuck in a trip? Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, it's, even the fanciest mechanics, they're working on a car to fix something, they could end up accidentally breaking something else. It's kind of the way I look at it. It's like, they say like, don't open your mind too much that your brain falls out. It's I think that it's not something that can happen to everybody, but it's something that definitely can and does happen. What the correlation or causation of all that is.
Yeah, but stuck in
is
a trip
irrelevant because
sounds
it
like
does.
he took acid and then just stayed high or something forever.
Yeah, I mean, he has relapses. Like I remember back, like when he first.
That sounds awful, and I don't mind acid, but that's I do
forever.
like that it ends.
I
wish it ended actually much earlier.
That's what I think too. I think it lasts way too fucking long. I think if you take acid, it's like hour 10, and you're like, all right, let's fucking wrap this up.
Yeah, and then you think like, all right, if I just smoke a joint, I can make myself go to sleep, and then all that does is add another fucking 5 hours to your trip.
It just like brings it back on.
Yeah, he's like this guy, like because he was older than me at school, and then we were going to this other school in Coffs. There was 11 and 12 at university, and so he was out doing a university course or a TAFE course or something, and we catch the bus with him, and yeah, he'd just go in and out of it. Like you'd be chatting with him, and then he'd just throw you this hectic abstraction that you just knew nothing about what he was talking about. Which anyone can do that, but he was in it. Like, and then you'd see when he'd get to a point telling you this weird story, and then he'd be like, it's like he realised that he was just talking about some crazy shit, and then he'd just stop talking. Like he was just he came to one of my friends' house one day, like near where he lived, with a garbage bag, and knocked on the door. And it was my friend's mum, and said, "Oh, so and so, how can I help you or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just wondering if you've got any grass clippings. There's a hole in my backyard I need to fill up."
Just fill it with grass.
Oh no.
And he told me, like, I remember one of the stories he told me, like, I was on the bus one day, like, going to school, I had my headphones on, and he's like, tap me on the shoulder. Have I ever told you about the time when I got buried under a pile of shredded coconut? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. In this little car, and it tipped over, and then all this coconut came out, and I popped my head out the top, and I was looking around. It was like this full-on catastrophic kind of. You just imagine this picture of him, with a rolled car with a big pyramid of like coconut, and his head just pops out the top.
It's like cartoony as fuck.
Yeah, so he'd say this shit, but then you'd see all of a sudden he'd be just like, where am I, kind of thing. And yeah, so anyway, slightly off track. Datura headpiece, Datura. I don't know. I just started to try and make it, because I've told you about the ideas with the birds and that. Like, I'm trying to reflect a bit more of the things that I'm interested in. Like trying to put more of the nature things in there and things about where I'm from or something, because I just feel like that's what I know about or something. That's the only thing I know about or something. I don't know.
So many people like ask me, because they know that we know each other, and so many people are like, what's he like? And I'm like, dude, he's like the most liberal, like nature fucking loving vegan dude with like no like, I think people have this idea that you're like this crazy fucking weirdo, which again, I also want to talk about like your frustration with like people being like, haha, lol, a penis, when there's like fucking 20 grand worth of technology on your body.
Yeah, it's a bit.
That's a interesting juxtaposition, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I first decided to use that character, like, I didn't have all that much tech, you know that.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it was just kind of like you're playing off Ableton and just singing, basically, right?
Yeah,
and it used to be
we
also,
had controls and stuff.
Did you know Anklepants used to be 2 people?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me and my friend Tim, and we had a lot of music projects at that time, mainly bands. I mean, we had 2 or 3 other rock bands, like, because we both play with guitar, like, and Tim grew up in the same, right near where I live now. But Tim grew up in the same area. He was friends with my girlfriend at the time. We went to the same school, and I knew of Tim. He had like rock bands when we were at high school, and so did I. Like, we had mutual friends, but until he moved to Sydney, we didn't meet, and then we started doing music together. But yeah, it wasn't as tech heavy then, and like, but I always wanted to make my own instruments. I made guitar at high school. I mean, I always wanted to make instruments, and then when I got into electronic music, it just went there. I want to make guitars again now. Actually, like I'm going to build some solid body electrics soon, I think. But like, as for the instruments, it's like and that stuff, like, what did you say about
like how you're basically wearing like 20 grand worth of like technology on your body?
Yeah, of course. So of course it wasn't the aim to create a thing. The contrast is an interesting thing to me. Like, early on, I did kind of make some music. I was making, the music I was making back then, it was nothing like, didn't have heaps of vocals. Like, we made those tracks for a joke.
It was more like techno-y stuff.
Yeah, but there was more of like, the Cam H Salmon album, or the earlier ones that are just like heavily programmed, like more breakcore stuff, or I don't know what, IDM or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, just heavily programmed music I was interested in. I didn't really care what it was. It's like, as long as it's complicated and like changing all the time, I'm into it. Like, and using as many different like techniques as possible. That's what I was interested in. But like, then with that thing, it was never really intended. But at the same time, I did think, oh, okay, I've got this character that a lot of kind of, I don't know, people in this time like would be like, oh, it's horrible, or it would freak them out or something. So I'm just going to make the most, like, some really commercial sounding music. So if someone hears the music, they're going to be like, oh, I like this, and then I might go to the show, and then they go to the show and and they're like, but that shows you, like, and the reason was that, like, I just, I'm interested in a lot of Freud stuff or Bernays, and I'm interested in how PR started and all this kind of thing. And it's like all this stuff is interesting, and I like to play with that stuff a bit. So yeah, it was in the back of my mind, but now it does piss me off sometimes because all it does it exposes people that are really superficial.
Yeah.
Which is good because I like to expose those people, like because I think I don't. It's a very basic.
It's almost
kind
like
of thing.
you must be this high to ride the ride sort of thing.
Yeah, but
it's more of just you must be this not uncomfortable with your own body.
Yeah, to like enjoy the show.
It's all they're just projecting themselves. Like a lot of what I enjoy about your act is I see a lot in this. I don't know if either of you are familiar with this dude Matthew Silver, who was a street performer in New York City, and he used to host this event called the Circus of Dreams, and it was basically an avant-garde comedy night.
Yeah, I know this dude.
And it involved a lot of
was he doing puppet show stuff as well?
It's all sorts of stuff, but there's definitely
I know of him, man.
There's a lot of body stuff involved. Like he would just do weird things where you drop his pants and show you his butthole and be like, whoa, so what do you see? Just like weird shit where like if you're uncomfortable with bodies, it's going to make you uncomfortable. And a lot of people, I can't speak to other cultures, but Americans in particular, we have like centuries and centuries of like body shame programmed into us. And like a lot of what he does is like to just sort of like break through that wall that people have put up for themselves about just like thinking that like, penises are weird or scary or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, if I can at least make, when we were kids, they were funny. They weren't scary. And he's like, if I can at least make it kind of funny again, maybe it'll make it a little less scary. Yeah, and not for other people, but for like yourselves. Like you need to not it's not about you being afraid of other people's penises. You need to not be afraid of your own to begin with, or whatever genitalia you have. It's like,
that's the thing. I don't like I said, I'm interested in learning about how our society came to be the way it is, but I'm not like that guy. I'm not like that guy actually. Like in that way, I'm not trying to.
Right.
Like it just happened.
It's
like
a
that.
natural
I
consequence.
made this character, and like I was already using a different animatronic character, and then I was like, hang on, maybe I should use this one at the gig, and then I've started like to do other things from there. But yeah, it kind of works too well. Like these days, like when it pisses me off, I'm not that insane that I think, because I hear people, you see people that might do something that's like getting people's attention or something. They're like, I don't want them to focus on that. They should just focus on my music. I know that it's something that people might talk about. Of course, I'm not fucking crazy.
It's
but
like
I do
the main thing that people talk about.
Yeah, this is the problem. It's like please look at what else I'm doing, because like I spend so much time doing my stuff, like crazy amounts of time. I spend a lot of time when I'm on tour doing my stuff. I'm not like hanging out and like partying or anything like this. I'm just drinking water. I'm trying to stay away from talking to people to save my voice. I'm trying to like be alone so I can remember how to fucking get everything ready and not miss anything and make the show as good as I can. So, like, it frustrates me when I get, the dick face guy. It's I understand. But, like, I spend so much of my time. The mask, I mean, if I had to make the mask from scratch, and like, it didn't happen in this way when I did it because I was on jobs and I was doing other stuff, but it would take me maybe 2 weeks to make the mask. Even shorter, it would probably 3 weeks I could produce that whole thing from scratch these days.
I'm also keen to talk about like the mask creation as well, because you explained it to me the other day and I found it pretty interesting.
I mean, I was just going to say, even just having to wear a mask and perform on stage, regardless of, I remember when I was like a teenager and I first started making music, I was doing like experimental noise power electronics shit with, and I would wear like this bloody panda mask while I was performing. And like, dude, that's the mask. Wearing the mask was the hardest part of their performance. It was keeping it on and just like not. It sucks. It's like that.
That's the thing. Mine's a prosthetic. Like mine is a prosthetic. I can produce pieces to glue onto my face. Like it's made as a one-piece prosthetic makeup. So it's made on my face. It's like, and to link it into what you were asking, Bill, like it's a prosthetic. So it started with colleagues of mine did my life cast. And then from there, I took over the process because obviously I can't life cast myself. So yeah, I mean, it's life cast in Alginate.
How is like, what's the process for like life casting your own head?
Yeah, or you can't life cast your own head. I mean, you can life cast because you're completely encased in fiberglass and in Alginate or these days silicon.
Is it uncomfortable like when you do it?
Oh, some people really freak out. Like, you life cast. I've had actors, everyone that does this job or has done prosthetics, you have actors passing out.
Wow.
You have people panicking because you're encased in either alginate or life casting silicone on your skin, and outside of that is layers of plaster bandage
How do you breathe?
through your nose only.
They just put like pipes.
No, you don't put pipes because, like, if something's tapping your bump, you can get a pipe up in your
Ooh.
fucking nose.
Fuck.
So what you do is,
That's something they unfortunately
that's
probably
part
learned
of-
the hard way the first time.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
part of it, the technique of being a good prosthetics technician.
Just
you
leaving
learn it's
nose
part of the
holes.
process. Yeah,
Fuck.
because the way you do it, you mix up with alginate. I'll explain the alginate, but the silicon process is the same. Well, kind of the same. You mix up the material. The person has a bald cap on. Either their ears are exposed or not, depending on what you're doing. And then you pour the alginate onto their head. You might smear some on their eyes, and you let it all run down. And as it's running down, you're working it, like putting it all over the face. And the whole time you're making the nostrils clear. So there's usually one or two people, usually two people doing it, just a bus cast. But we do the same process with a full body. So you do
How
the
do
full body
How
front
do you
and back.
get that off?
Prise it, you put a special bead around the seam, and then you pry it open with screwdrivers or something.
Right, and then you just sort of like put it back together.
At the end, you put keys in it, and you make it so the jacket seats back in, and you cut the. So when the front is on, then you put you put Vaseline around the seam, and then you close the plaster bandage, and then that makes it so it releases. So then you pry the back jacket off the cast, and then you cut or rip the alginate or silicone, and you pull the actor out of it. You get them to move their face around, and it loosens off.
Talk more into this thing.
But then you take it away, you glue it back together, back to the process, put plaster into it. So Hydrocal, there's a lot of different special plasters for this. Put plaster in it. Then you pull out a plaster positive. So then you have the person's head in plaster. Then you clean the whole seam up, fix it all up, make it perfect. Then you take a mold of it with silicone with a fiberglass jacket. So then it's durable. So then you can produce many, many, many heads
Right.
out of plaster, out of whatever material you want.
What's your one made out of?
In my case, you produce a fiberglass version of my head. And on the fiberglass head, then you start to sculpt in a sculpting clay. You sculpt the character exactly how you want it. Then you take a mold of that in fiberglass, in my case. Then you pull that apart. You destroy the sculpture, so you're left with a fiberglass version of my head that keys onto that external jacket. Then you make a hole in that core in that version of my head. You make a pour tube, and then you mix up foam latex, which is another material, which is what my mask is made out of. You mix up foam latex in a cake mixer, you whisk it up. It's a whole new other process that I won't go into. It's very temperature sensitive and time sensitive. It's all on a stopwatch. You have to add different chemicals at different times. And you mix it up and then you pour that into a big syringe, and then you inject it, like big injection syringe that's like, and then you put it in an oven, bake it 85 degrees for like an hour-ish, pull it out, wash it, cut off any imperfections on it with like soldering iron to melt all the seams, and fill any holes with a mixture of prosthetic glue and Cabasil thickening agent. Like, you use all these special materials. Then you prime it with a special flexible primer. Then you paint it.
Yeah, it looks like you've done like a lot of shading and shit on there.
Well, that mask now is very destroyed. When you see a new one, it looks totally really different.
Yeah.
But then you add the hair, but back in the process, in that case, like, you know, where the nose mechanism is on the core, like, you attach this piece that will create a void in the foam latex skin at the end, so the mechanical pieces can fit in and all this kind of thing.
Right.
So then you start building the animatronics after that, you know.
Like the animatronics being like the servo motors in the.
Yeah, in my case, the servo motors behind my ears in those voids here, and then there's cables that run up, and then there's like, nowadays it's all 3D printed parts. They're resin printed, like DLP printed spines. But
Yep.
this junction here is FDM.
Right.
It's got FDM cable clamps all over it. It's got a vacuum formed skull cap. That's a whole nother process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like very involved, but if you're a prosthetics or creature effects technician, these are normal.
Yeah.
Not everyone does it, because not everyone's an all-rounder, but like any real professional creature effects technician knows a little bit about all of those processes,
Right.
if not all of them.
And this is stuff that you've done as a job for like the last 15 years or something, right?
Yeah, since 2001
Yeah.
or 2000.
And you've been, what's some stuff that you've worked on? You worked on X-Men, right?
Yeah, X-Men. The most recent film I worked on was Pirates of the Caribbean is the last biggest one, maybe. Maybe something after that.
What was
What's the one with the reptilians?
Alien?
I didn't work on the last Alien. I worked on the one before, Prometheus.
Okay. Yeah.
But I was working not in creature effects there. I was working for just a general special effects company in London, and I worked on some like fastenings for the monitors in the Prometheus spaceship. But the company I worked for a lot in Australia, Odd Studio, they did the last Alien film.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy like how much goes into this shit, and then it just seems to like almost all get lost on people because of how good it is. It's like if it was like a dick mask that was like slightly worse and didn't look so realistic and fucking crazy, people would just be like, oh, that's some fucking weird shit.
Well, in some way, that's a form of success, you know, and they say if you've done something right, people can't tell if you've done anything at all.
Yeah, I had a chick come up to me so I had a bunch of people come and say shit to me while you were playing at the Black Box. One was like Tipper came up to me and he was like, dude, it's so impressive, but like I guarantee you like nobody here understands that like you bending over and shit like that is controlling stuff in the session. And he's like, it's crazy. Like he instantly like realized that all of that shit is getting lost on people. And then I had another chick come up to me and she was just like, this guy fucking scares me, and left. So like I saw like both ends of the spectrum.
But that's the thing, man. Like it's to do with a lot of things. That's I've got this mask on. Yeah, whatever. People's like, once upon a time, like, you know, with music, people are just so used to DJ culture now that they don't even think like. And you got to remember, like, any of us three are old enough to remember when there weren't. Well, in Australia, okay, for us, yeah, there's DJ culture, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Like, fuck no, dude. There's no DJ culture there.
Well, no, but like when we were young, you know, people our age that grew up in Europe or USA, there was DJ culture.
Totally, like hip hop and stuff
our
like
age, and they grew up with it. We didn't. That's one thing.
Totally.
But at the same time, the world has become like most younger people that are probably going to gigs these days. DJs of the musicians, like, you know what I mean? That's where the music comes from. That kind of are a bit disjointed that someone has to either make that music, or there is still bands and stuff, like groups of people. You know, once upon a time, people could be as intimidated by, you know, bands have been known to have crazy frontman or members that do crazy shit at a gig forever.
Yeah, I mean, there are bands that we'd consider corny, like from the '80s, that would scare the crap out of their audiences. And
Totally,
they
man.
were,
But now,
they were signed to major labels.
Totally.
Yeah,
like Alice Cooper and shit.
Yeah, totally. But there's a lot of them. Like, but at the same time, I just think it's a lot to do with, you know, everyone's so used to DJ culture now, and it happens with shows. Like, we talk about this when I do shows. Like, I'm playing in a lot of nightclubs. Yeah, those promoters and the whole organization is used to dealing with DJs, and that's fine. But I'm not a DJ, so kind of like what a band would need. Most bands, you know, they'll have their guitar before a show, they'll warm up, they'll sing, singers test their voice, they warm up their voice. I do this stuff, and I have my equipment.
Yeah.
And it's the same. The crowd's the same. They're not used to it. They're just used to a DJ and going to dance, and that's all fine. I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's like, yeah, they're just less used to something happening on a stage. Like, they're used to it's a totally social event.
Well, totally.
And a lot of up and coming artists unfortunately don't realize that that's an option. You know, a lot of people feel like, you know, the standard prescription of delivering audio to people is to be behind a 6-foot folding table.
Totally, man. And that's also not their fault. You know, once upon a time, like, now we can test the waters, like they can, or whoever can test the waters with marketing. Like when you mentioned these bands that are on major labels, because record labels could make a lot of money if they threw some weird shit in there, and maybe people would like be interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, let's sign this crazy band. It'll probably sell stuff because people are going to look at it because there's something strange going on.
Yeah.
But now, like, you know, like, everyone can engineer the way that the material is delivered, and they can test if it's going to be popular. So they don't have to run risks anymore. Like, heaps of the iconic bands from the 70s.
It's like, especially over the past 10 years, it's almost like the culture accidentally produced an abundance of safe art and forgot that that's like not necessarily the point.
Yeah, totally.
Or not the only point, you know. And it's cool. It's like there's even on like the heavy bass end of the spectrum, it's still quote unquote feel good music.
It is, yeah. It's like it's satisfying, and it's not like, yeah, it doesn't make you feel weird. It makes you feel like satisfied and good, and like everything always resolves, and like everything is always mixed
But
real
people
nice.
forget. I mean, people forget that being weird or psychedelic or alternative, especially psychedelic, it's like it's not supposed to be comfortable at all. Like, I mean, I remember, I can think about any psychedelic experience I've had. It was definitely not comfortable.
Right, it's like everything
but
seems
that's part
wrong.
of it. You're supposed. They call it a trip because you're supposed to go somewhere else, not the same place,
Right.
over and over again. And that's kind of why I stopped trying to inject myself into like the psytrance community, because it kind of just felt like the same thing over and over again, and it's had this like really, really rigid, narrow aesthetic. And I'm like, this is not like, if you did anything outside of the bounds of it, people wanted to call it something else. And so you were always just pushed to thing else. And there's suddenly not really a community for people who want to actually be weird.
Totally. The other thing is like you show them something completely different, like techno or something, or like, fucking bass music or just anything, and they're like, oh, that's some fucking weird psytrance. Like they just relate everything to it.
The way I see a lot of this stuff is like people's idea of experimental or whatever is different everywhere, and people's idea of any of these things are different everywhere. But the thing that I find a way to try and explain it is like, in my opinion, in the colonized countries, like the countries that have been colonized by the United Kingdom, i.e. mainly the ones that I've experienced in Australia, USA, the genres of music that we mainly use things from didn't come from us. And those genres, some places in the world, are just a part of the culture. They're not a marketable genre. So when all these genres get copied by us white people, Bill, I'm not including you, Holly.
What? Oh, well, I mean, I'm white, but I'm also Aboriginal.
I mean, you're lucky enough to have that.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I'm Aboriginal. Very like small amount, but it's in there.
But you know what I mean? Like when the colonized, like when the convict population, I would have to say, colonized the countries, all these musical genres, they exist somewhere not within our culture. And then all of a sudden someone started to market them, and then the whole thing starts to get bastardized into this fucking nightmare. And it happens right before our eyes now with like, the newest, like these kind of footwork and all these subgenres.
Yeah, that all came from like Detroit techno.
These guys just made it to fuck around and dance or something. Like they didn't make it to try and sell it and be cool and get gigs and get paid and make it for any other reason.
Yeah.
And it's the same as like the fundamental parts of all of these genres are that. You might talk about in Germany, like, I don't think it all came from one place, but there's things where rock music, obviously taken from African people, got to white people, then it started to morph into things, and then you've got like industrial music that morphed into maybe techno or started to turn into these things. But only when it morphed into things, people started calling it techno, and then they started to all make it,
and then reggae into dubstep.
Exactly, like we have to. Personally, I have a problem with this because I'm always like I feel like I'm not attached to any of them. I wish I was, because I have friends we've talked about, like Otto, for example. He's got the Cuban thing. He's German as well, but his life is about that. His family is the Cuban thing. They speak Spanish. They speak their own version of Spanish. There's hip hop there that came from African people. It's right on their doorstep. Like it's all mixed. Growing up in Australia, you don't get that.
Well, kind of though. Like, I mean, you did grow up in like the bush in Australia, basically, and that I think like.
But I'm trying to get back to that now because when you're young, you just pick up all this stuff.
Totally, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We all go through a process in life, but that stuff is my life. So music is what we do. So we're constantly, but you can get wound up in that stuff. Like, and I always try to think back to that. It's like. This is all this genre stuff is marketing. Like it's only used to condense things and to make it sellable. We don't have a fucking clue what techno is, what hip hop is. I'm not that person. I can talk for myself only, but I'm not that person. I can make that music, but I don't know what it is. I'm emulating a marketing scheme.
Right, you're saying like you kind of have to be like coming from the roots of.
I'm not saying you have to be, but I wish I could be that person. I respect.
Think like, I mean, you think that like any sort of emulation isn't as real, even if it's like completely emulated.
I just think in my experience, what I took away from like living in Central Europe, and I think being a bit closer, like living in London and seeing with maybe some of the reggaeton kind of roots and stuff like this. From that end of the scale, like, and seeing like the carnival and seeing how they're just doing it to dance and make this thing. They didn't make it for any other reason. Like it's the same as like people making percussion instruments when they were living in the forest, like Aboriginals, like with sticks or rocks or whatever.
Right, but do you think that it's a problem now that drum kits are just so easily purchasable?
Totally. I mean, if you want to make that stuff, but that leads to what I'm also like with me personally. I'm not trying to, but the things I'm using are more closely related to video games or something. You know what I mean? It's basically video game controllers. It's closer to like VR or augmented reality, which is I'm not really interested in, but I'm trying to like use the body in ways that we already know how to use it instead of forging our body to operate some device that's, you know, to learn guitar. We've both learned guitar. I don't know, do you play guitar? You know what it's like.
Yeah.
You have to force your hand to do this weird thing.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, I think eventually everyone will be able to make music because there'll be some interface to the brain that a lot of people talk about at the moment, and you'll be able to just do stuff, which I think is awesome. I think everyone should be able to do it.
That's why I use my MIDI controller on stage now as a fucking mouse, and I don't even use a MIDI controller. And everyone's like, why do you use a mouse on stage? I'm like, because it's the best way to control a computer, you
Touch
fucking
screens,
dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Touchscreens are so offensive. Like
seriously, it sucks
they've
to use a
gone
touchscreen.
backwards. Like a QWERTY keyboard is awesome. Like
Yeah. It looks dumb, like to have a mouse on stage, but it's so efficient. Like I never like.
I loved it. First person I ever saw doing that was Kilowatts.
Yeah.
He had a QWERTY click-clack keyboard and a mouse on
It's
stage.
the best way to I fucking practice using my computer like that all day, every day. Like, why would I switch to something else?
But there was something you were saying before about like younger kids starting out, they don't know there's other options. You said that.
Yeah, because you go to venues and you just see, you know, like the other night it was kind of funny. The Amon Tobin show that was here, all of the openers were using CDJs. They had 4 decks
And then he uses Tractor, right?
and you know all the openers had backlined, you know, at $11,000 worth of Pioneer DJ equipment. And Amon Tobin shows up with a beat up MacBook Air and an S2 that cost $90 and
totally.
leveled the place.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't. So but while you know the CDJs are incredibly effective tools for DJing, I feel like the aesthetic and the sort of prescriptive context is something that people aren't really thinking about. Control of context is like a hugely important thing for me, and I feel like it's the first thing that all artists give up for the chance to play. You know, when people whenever people are writing any kind of music, the last thing you're thinking about is, so how am I going to present this for people? What's the context?
Well, that's totally. I mean,
but when the local promoter says, "Hey, you want to play your set?" and you're like, "Wait, I can just play my tracks off of a laptop," and all of a sudden now, like I became a DJ just because that's allowed. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like for me, you know, I was playing in bands for so long, and you know, you play in bands, you learn an instrument or whatever, and you play. But I don't know. I got into electronic music to add it to a band. You know, I was interested in MIDI guitar and all this kind of stuff. But like for me, the main, I don't know if it's a problem, but I mean, I love this. I love this super minimal approach. Don't get me wrong. I do like the idea of like someone with this box and then there's sound coming out. Like, and I also
I agree.
like it. I also like it with the way of writing music. Like there was a long time. I mean, you remember when I got into re-noise and stuff like that, and I was getting off on it that I didn't have to use a mouse and you could just use a numpad and you just fucking type.
Yeah, totally.
It's awesome. It's fucking crazy. If you know theory and you learn like the ticks, the steps per beat and stuff on a tracker, there's no faster way to fucking make music.
There's
It's
a guy
mental.
I just signed to my label called Sue from Texas who makes all his IDM on re-noise. And
re-noise is fucking...
Dude,
re-noise
it's
is
so cool.
powerful.
He sends me videos of it and it looks so intense. It's just like a wall of numbers just like running down.
I mean, I had the Nitro tracker on the DS and that you could open the project files in re-noise. Like, it's just madness, like making the whole track on a DS with the microphone and then just open the project because the files are all, like, they go between any
Yeah, because
tracker.
it's just like a bunch of fucking number data.
But it's so, like, trackers are awesome. But anyway, like, the thing I think at the moment is like, yeah, we've talked about this as well, but it's like, which software companies actually make, like, okay, so the main thing is like, well, yeah, I build my stuff and there's people that build all different ends of the spectrum in complexity, people who are more engineers and, you know, people build all different instruments, but the components are cheaper now. There's more tools, like Ableton has Max for Live. There's more people than ever, like, using kind of more, you know, malleable software to like make music, kind of, just because there's more people into it. But there's no companies making a program to like change this tape emulation linear style of working. There's no software company trying to fuck that up. I mean, obviously, Cycling 74 makes a tool where you can do that. And to me, it's like, obviously, when we go to gigs now, we don't just listen to music. We see screens, we do things, and people are always trying to do new things. But programs like Max, they're awesome because they make you realize that it's all, if you're working in a digital realm, like it's all actually the same. Everything's the same. It doesn't matter if it's audio or whatever. It teaches you that, it teaches some basic physics to understand about sound waves and electricity and things like that. It's so intuitive if you let it be. But it makes you understand that like I can work with any medium here in the digital realm. And it's kind of the same. So it's one big picture, but there's no one building. So and you remember, like we've talked about this as well. It's like, remember when we were building computers all the time because our current one wasn't powerful enough to push like 20 fucking tracks.
I remember like when I first started writing music, I had to build a new computer like every 2 years basically because like software was just advancing so rapidly.
And now we can do this.
No, I haven't had to upgrade in a while,
Yeah, but that's the thing. For me, what I did at that point is like, fuck, it's quicker for me to do all that now. So I'm going to do some other shit.
Right.
And that's another thing for me. Like I was like, I've got all this free time now because I don't have to
wait to render a snare. Yeah, like you were saying earlier.
And a lot of people got comfortable at that point and stopped. For me, I didn't. I just kept trying to add new stuff. Then started getting more into the programming or whatever and learning that I can do all this stuff. It's really cheap now. But there's no, like the computers can, like back then, that's what I was getting to. Back then with those older computers and older than that I was still using, but at the same time, like they couldn't handle or you couldn't buy the parts and build your own thing. Yeah, if you were working with some engineers, you could have built some stuff back then to hit the machine with a shit ton of inputs and do some crazy stuff like Stellark or someone was doing some fucking mental shit. Like, which I think, even though I didn't know about Stellark when I started doing my stuff, he was doing what I do now, but like a simpler version of it. But it was probably costing him like fucking $500,000 of art grant. I don't know that for a fact, but he would have had budgets for that stuff.
Right.
But nowadays, you can fucking hit the machine with as much information as you can. You can build instruments that have more articulation, like you can be more articulate with an electronic instrument than you can with a guitar or something, I dare say. Like you can make some very personal instruments if you want to say. People are always talking about, electronic music. Well, people aren't always talking about, but commonly people, I like more like real music, like guitar and singing. It's like, yeah, voice is an obvious one, but guitar is an electronic instrument. Like electric guitar is an electric guitar. So people forget this. It's like it goes into a pickup and it goes into an amplifier and someone's engineered all that stuff. Like,
I think the sound source is still the speaker.
It's like it's an electronic instrument, but at the same time, like we can now build an electronic instrument that can translate our movements, our fucking biometrics, our anything, like elements from the environment we live in, not our body. Like we can turn that into something and translate that to audio, to video, to whatever. Like we can build these crazy high resolution, whatever you want to call it, instruments, but no company is building it. And that's because they're making a shit ton of money about like
off of essentially tape emulation, basically.
Yeah, totally, man.
Well, it's like when they said the whole like argument back in the day when Moog was first coming out with their synthesizers it's like, they're killing instruments, and it's like, no, it's like you're not supposed to get a Moog to replace it. You're not supposed to make trumpet sounds with a Moog. You're supposed to do things the trumpet can't do.
I mean, I have to stop myself, honestly. I know a lot of my stuff emulates, it's still a linear input or a Boolean. It's like a floating or a Boolean input coming into the machine. It's on off or it's a fucking floating number. So it's still going from 0 to something or 1 or 0. So I'm not like fucking reinventing everything, but I'm just trying to utilize all this movement or the fact that it's all in flux and making this thing that's moving all the time is what I'm fascinated in. But I do have to stop myself and stop emulating like motion capture suit or something. It's essentially a motion capture suit. So lately I've been trying to think of ideas to use the industrial sensors to capture some movement that
what are the industrial sensors? Is that thing?
Just using that term, it's not the best term, but just any kind of like resistor or like potentiometer or something that a lot of the sensors that I use if they're not like something from some hobby thing, prototype something or build robots or something, they're like industrial sensors from like production, like machines that are producing something, you know, like they might be a...
What's that one you use in the back? Because I was asking you if it's Arduino and you said no, it's better than Arduino.
Oh, okay, so I am using these IMU units that I buy off Seb from IO Technologies, which is a company in the United Kingdom who he specializes in making IMU units so they're a small microcontroller that has onboard sensors of all different descriptions, and people buy them off him to use to prototype their engineering things. Like, you know, they might be building a machine or a device that needs an accelerometer or needs to have temperature measurements coming off it, or you know, a barometer, and then he builds also. That's something that he produces. So I buy those IMU units off him, or he actually gives them to me, and he helped me, and he wrote in a library and a code on a microcontroller, which is a teensy, which is a higher, like, it has more memory, it has a higher frequency, it has more I/O. You can actually get even bigger ones, which my new system is going to have, that has a lot of analog and digital inputs and outputs.
What I found the most impressive was how fucking rugged it is, and like how not robust is the word. Like how good it is at like if so for instance was in the green room at the black box. Oh, sorry, Anklepants. We'll edit. I'm gonna tell the dude Ricard. Oh, fuck it. He was in the
bleep it out.
I'll tell him to bleep it out. You're in the green room at the black box, and it was just like flashing, and then as soon as you walk into range, it's just like bam, it connects. Like, which you've done visual stuff with what's his name?
With Zach Binary.
With Zach, yeah. And you know, like
with
how
touch
tough
designer.
And how tough it can be to like just get the shit working on a cabled network, even, you know.
Well, that's the one thing that we do now is we actually use cables, and
that's what I was doing too.
It makes things so much. I mean, you have to run do what you do with like being able
run
to
an Ethernet.
Like, it was so cool. Like you started your set from the
first of all,
you started your set from the green room, and then peeking your head out from the door. Like I can't do shit like that.
Yeah.
But like for festivals and stuff, we just found that like just show up a day early and bury a 300-foot Ethernet cable in the ground. You can do anything.
Well, that's the thing, like Seb, but that's not me being great at something. That's Seb, the guy that I buy these things off. That because the reason why that happens is he's built that IMU unit. It has a user interface that you connect via USB. You calibrate it. You tell it what network to log on to. Like it just connects to a router. It can be on a 2.4 gig or a 5G connection, and it just starts spewing out the fucking OSC data just as soon as it connects. So it's got a password. You can have the network open or close. You know, you can set the send rate frequency. Like I can send way faster too. Like I'm still like going through that. Like the new system was sending even faster, but the latency is fucking incredible. I haven't measured it for ages, and I can't even remember when I did measure it, but it's crazy, man. Like those
slow or quick?
Fast.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like,
well, it's when you were walking out, like as soon as you came out, it connected, and then it was like tracking your footsteps straight away.
I have to arm that. Like I've got a button. If I hold one button, it's one sound. Another button's another sound. Another button. If I don't hold the button, it doesn't send a note on for that hit. But I'm going to go further with that. I used to have it on the accelerometer, so when I turned my hand, it would change the sound, but it was a bit annoying. But yeah, as for the connectivity, that's Seb. But the other thing is, it's just utilizing current networking protocol stuff that guys like him who write that kind of thing and know about it, they know how to do it. It's like all our phones use that, you know. It's not. That's another thing that I always think about. It's like, because people say, oh, it's like futuristic or it's you know, it's too much tech. It's like, oh, like it's normal. It's the technology. It's around us now.
You just can't buy it at a Guitar Center, you know.
Yeah. But I think you
probably can actually.
Yeah, you can get like wireless mic setups and wireless IEM setups from Guitar Center, right?
Yeah, but you can't
they operate on like radio frequency, I think.
Oh no, well IEMs, like it depends what country, but they're usually like there's a new Sennheiser have a new one. It's like 2.4, but I tend to.
Is it a short range?
2.5 for like the lower the frequency, the further it penetrates. So when it goes down to like UHF bands are like crazy. I mean, I have drones as well, and I have like long range. Like I've got like radio systems with my drones. I can fly like 10, 40 kilometers, man. No problems with video.
Shit.
Like,
You uploaded like a video, right, of you like above all the eucalyptus trees near your house, and like he has these videos that he took with his drone of koalas up in the tops of the trees.
Yeah. But that's with an old drone. But I have a new one that can lift like 25 kilos, like could put a cinema camera on it. But I have way huge headroom with the radio gear. I don't find that thing out of line of sight, but I used to fly things way out of line of sight, and it's just stupid. But
how do you even get them back at that point? Do they have cameras on them so you can see them in real time?
Oh yeah, you're flying with a headset on. You're flying with a headset on, but it also has GPS. You can return to home or whatever. But
crazy, dude! Fucking hell.
No, but they all have. Every drone has.
Dude,
that stuff.
Drones are insane, man.
But with the radio stuff, like
you weren't buying Euro
I did a lot of experimenting with
Euro rack. I'm getting
with the radio stuff. You know, like I know a bit about that. I know about the antennas. I just use like linear antennas with the setup I have that have a high decibel output from the router, for example, and on my microphone I have a new. I just remembered I didn't have the fucking mic, the antenna on the other night on the mic.
All right,
fucking idiot. I just remember that now. So hang on, I didn't put the antenna on. But yeah, as for it's all standard stuff, and it works really really well. I use So you asked, is it 2.4 penetrates further, but everyone's phone is on 2.4. Everyone's phone's looking for a 2.4 network. Most networks are 2.4, but I didn't do it the other night. But when I first started doing shows with this setup, I have this app. I forget what it is, but you can scan to see what networks are in the area. It just looks through because
a lot of networks. I don't know if it's different out there. You can do 5G connect.
Totally, But for example, what I was getting at is like if I scan, like if I turn that on my laptop here, I would see all the networks, and it would tell me what if they're on 5G and what channel on 5G they're on. So then you can go into the router setup or admin setup and change the channel on the router. If you see that there's this part of the spectrum that has a shit ton of fucking networks on it, just move into a little space around it. And I haven't done it for ages, but
okay.
But if you're playing like New York City or something, or some place where there's fucking you open it's like 500 fucking routers in the block.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, and then also it shows, you know, everyone's got 2.4 in their pocket, and of course, all devices are 5G, but I do take these things into consideration. But to be honest, I've never had a problem with it. Like,
have you heard
this
about
new system? Like, if I played at a huge festival, which I haven't, I'm talking like with. Well, I've played at some big ones where there would have been
like
potentially
day for night or something. Like that.
Where there's literally maybe 20 or 30,000 people walking around with a phone in their pocket looking for my network, and that many things trying to fucking get in there.
That's the reason why Zach and I buried a cable, because there's no service, so there's going to be 3,000 people with their cell phones trying to latch on.
This is another thing I learned, which might be handy for you. Like a guy I met at that Even Further festival in Wisconsin. The guy that was doing the AV show, so you might know a bit about this stuff, Bill. Do you know what the platform is? It's like, you know how Pro Tools have their proprietary interfaces, but there's one of those for staging that controls all the lights. It has a special mixer.
Oh, it's the thing that they call like a universe or whatever.
I don't know, but it's the same as like, you want a Pro Tools engineer and they know all about Pro Tools systems.
Yeah.
These dudes like know about this big thing.
DMX, is it?
No, DMX is a kind of like a protocol.
I don't call it an Avid still, and just video.
I forget what it is, but this guy, he's like a master of that. You know, it's show control system. It has a special mixer. He owns one of the big consoles, and he gets hired. He brings his console, and he can interface with any lighting system. You know, like, and he can. So if they have LED walls and lights and fucking audio and MIDI and OSC, like he knows all about all these things. And
the Grandma, is that what it's called? I think it is.
I can't remember, but this dude told me, because he was interested in what I was doing. It's like we were talking all about it, and I was talking to him about the routers, like we just were, and he's like, "Oh, you know, we use on the big shows, we use these Ubiquity. You know, have you seen Ubiquity routers?
I don't think so.
The really common ones, and I think they use them in malls. They just look like a little UFO, but they have huge milliwatt transmitting power, but they're just the consumer ones. That Ubiquity, like, have a look at their website. It will fucking blow your mind, man.
Hey,
they have
Have you heard about these 5G fucking conspiracy theory things?
Well, when I was saying 5G earlier, I didn't mean like that, like the cell phone service. I meant just like the bandwidth of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, 5G, the
Or 5
conspiracy one is
gigahertz,
like 11,000K or something. It's like the name doesn't have any correlation to the actual frequency as opposed to 5G.
It was funny a lot. Like people on the internet were freaking out because they saw that their Wi-Fi routers were set to 5G,
totally.
and they're like, "Is my brain being fried?" And it's like, no, it's
There's
totally
people that
different.
have said that too. Oh yeah, the 5G, my system's got 5G. They think
I'm gonna fucking die, dude. Is the actual 5G shit able to kill you even? Do you know much about that?
I don't know enough about it. I'm not a scientist.
I don't know much about it
I'm not
either.
a physicist. I don't know.
I know that I went into a Facebook group and I basically was just like, it was like day one of the 5G conspiracy theories, and I saw everyone was connecting to this Facebook group. There was like 30 fucking thousand people that joined like that. So I went in there, I was like, what's this about? And I like posted a thing, and some conspiracy theorist just like copy pasted like 50 comments worth of like huge paragraphs worth of information to me. I'm like, bro, I'm not reading all that shit.
I mean, I remember in the late 90s, somebody made a fucking $1 billion off of selling these little plastic mesh stickers you put on your phone that were supposed to prevent you from getting cancer. So from my experience, every new piece of technology
you just see
ever come out,
money-making scheme here.
people just freak out about whether or not it's going to cause
That's the
cancer.
thing, I mean,
And you know, probably, you know, I don't know. I'm sure all this shit's not good for us, but, you know, neither is the sun, and clean water oxidizes us from the inside out, so we're all going to become worm food. No getting around that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the network stuff is like it works. Like that's what I was saying with these Ubiquiti. Like if you were doing something with this long range, you should check those Ubiquiti because they have like these they look like a fucking satellite dish, fucking amplifier things on the antennas. Like the TX and RX antennas are different, and so this guy was telling me for tasks that are like not so timing. I mean, that's the thing. You might be doing stuff that's timing intensive, but he was telling me on the big shows, like, you know, where the fucking front of house guys are like, I don't know, fucking like 150 meters back.
Yeah.
They use these routers to do heaps of the arbitrary stuff. So there's like, I don't know all the names of the lights on those systems, but the ones that aren't doing like stuff that's filling, or any fill ones, or these slower tracking ones, they'll use wireless connections for the input control, and they use these Ubiquiti modems that can fire like 2.4 or something over like fucking 20 Ks and shit like that. And that's the thing, like like the higher you go up in the spectrum, the less penetrative the signal is. So yeah, 5G doesn't travel as far, and that's why I use a bit bigger antennas to boost it. But you know, those shows like the other night, like I have RSSI, like that's another thing. Seb's system, it sends RSSI, like the signal strength, back. Like I can open up in UDP receive, I can unpack.
The UDP receive is like a MAX object, right?
Yeah, just to receive OSC messages or UDP packet.
And I guess people
UDP
listening who don't know
use
what MAX is, it's like a node-based programming.
Max MSP.
So it's basically like it's like Reactor or Touch Designer. It's like a node-based program where you create objects, connect all the objects together, and it can take data and fuck with the data in different ways and change it around.
Yeah.
But you were telling me something about Max for Live. I didn't know this, but apparently Max for Live is just given the amount of processing power that your graphics card has.
Well, no, it runs in the graphics thread.
Yeah.
So it's also competing for it's competing for like memory from like fighting against other graphics tasks. That's what I think someone
Is that an
at
Ableton
cycling
decision,
told
or
me
is
that.
that a cycling?
I suppose Ableton.
That would be an Ableton
Yeah,
decision.
because then they just
I would
I
have
don't
to-
know if that had anything to do with like just the way Max integrated with like jitter and all that graphics.
No,
weird
it's just
processing.
totally like for when Ableton added Max for Live, that's where it gets its memory allocation from.
So that it doesn't take away from Ableton.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about software design to understand why they would have done that, but yeah, I hitting it with that amount of inputs, floating inputs, it couldn't handle it. It was just buffering the input all the time because I suppose it just filled up the graphics memory, and then it's just letting packets in. So it starts, because in UDP receive, or if you have the Max window open, you can see when UDP receives dropping packets. So it's just constantly dropping packets. And
You just put like an inspector thing on the output or something.
no, oh yeah, you can send it from a specific area, but if you have just the normal Max window open. If you go into view, you've got console and it just shows it shows which objects it's loading if they're third-party objects and things like this. But yeah, it just starts dropping packets. But also it just buffers everything. So if you had like just a linear input like an accelerometer, you move your hand and then slowly it just gets more sluggish and it's just buffering it.
Right.
But you can't see where the buffering's happening to change a buffer size or to help it.
Hey, one thing I want to talk about, I feel like talking about programming is going to get boring for people to listen to because they're just going to be like, I've never used Max. What the fuck?
And I don't know enough about it, so
yeah.
sound like a prick.
I want to talk about microtonal shit though, because that's something that you're super into and it's something that you're into as well a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, not so much. I've tried doing the microtonal thing, but I use so many quote unquote real instruments that it starts to become too much of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I like experimenting with it for my own purposes and like.
Have you seen a microtonal guitar before with like all the frets just on angles and shit?
I mean, long time ago I used to play with they were like hybrid electric guitars that like sitars you could adjust the fret positions and create your own microtonal tunings, and it's awesome. I love alternative tuning music because you're literally sitting there and I can objectively say I've never heard this chord before. That's a real experience.
Yeah.
But it's a pain in the ass to produce.
Is that kind of the reason why you like to do it too? Just because it's possible to find new things?
Oh, there's so many reasons, man. It goes into like.
Well, I guess for people who are listening who don't understand the way tuning works, basically we have like a spectrum of frequencies. We take those frequencies, we split them up into different.
One person did that, and this is what.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So the current system that like almost all music that you listen to in the West,
12-tone equal temperament.
It's 12-tone equal temperament. So you take like say a frequency range from like 440 hertz, which is 440 cycles per second, to 880 cycles of a wave cycle per second. That's one octave, and then if you break that octave up into 12 equal parts, that's equal temperament tuning, and we would call that A sharp, B, C, etc.
Yeah.
And then with microtonal tuning, it's kind of like you either change the relationship of where those cuts happen, so it's just not 12 evenly spaced cuts.
So you can get 15 EDO, 16 EDO, 7. You can just
you can add more. You can split it up into more parts than 12, or you can just like switch
your defined octave of any.
Yeah. Oh, right. So the octave is even different.
Oh man, you can do whatever you want. This is the thing. Like 12-tone equal temperament is based on like I can't quote the guy's name, but it's like a Chinese mathematician's theory, and it was devised purely so you could play the same piece of music in a different key. You could, and it's a genius system. I mean, you have all these crossover points, like what is it, the -6th and all these things. You can that things harmonize in weird ways, and it has its own things, but it's one tuning. One. Our ears can hear huge amounts, and that's just what our ears can hear. There's important sounds that are happening that we can't hear. Same as there's important light happening that we can't see.
Yeah,
and it's for so many reasons with me, and it goes very deeply into what we started talking about, the genre thing. The one day, like this is the way I see it, and I think, I mean, this stuff, when I first learned about it, it fucking blew my mind. I was like, holy, like, for me, learning about what 12-tone equal temperament is, it was the biggest, like, after this, like, what, 20-something years, 30 years of using it, finally learning what it was.
And learning that there's other options.
Well, it's like, I remember being in high school, and the first time my friend, we were fucking high, and he's like, yo, I gotta show you, this guy built a piano with an H note and a J note in the scale, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Harry Partch. I mean, like, it's like,
was that the guy?
Oh, Harry Partch built all kinds of. He had a like 44 note system, like. But Harry Partch's stuff is he's one of the first composers that I knew about that did microtone music, made his own systems, and it was for all kinds of crazy reasons of his own. But he could access like Arabic maqams in his 44 note scale. He could get close to Arabic maqams. He could touch on ancient Greek scales, and he could get to other cultures within the notes he was using.
Right.
Directly, because, of course you can play Arabic-esque, like, modes or scales with a 12-tone equal temperament, but it's not. Like, these maqam, like, is a word, like, I can't quote myself, like, but maqam is a word that means place. Maqams, Arabic music, like, a lot of them are taught by ear, weren't written. They're each area in the place. they have no correlation to 12-tone equal temperament. But then Western people came along, saw them, and was like, oh, okay, we'll do a 24-note system. We'll just put another fucking spot and chop that fucking interval in half. Still, the main, like, outside of that 12-tone equal temperament is still there. It's just half a tone in between, or quarter notes in between each semitone. And so you've got, like, us, again, like with genres, trying to play their stuff on our stuff.
Right.
It just doesn't work. It's not about that. And that music is ancient as fuck, man. Like, you can't.
It can't just be reduced to a harmonic minor scale.
Yeah, you can't just do that. It's not that. It's played on
much as
fretless
everyone loves to
instruments.
try.
It has all this fucking mystique. Like, it's come down from and now in science we still can't say the pyramids are X amount of years old or whatever.
Right.
You know, we're still trying to work out how old our civilizations and humans are, or where we're from. We don't fucking know how old those fucking notes are, man. We don't know how old they are. And we're trying to forge them into this weird 12 spots.
Yeah.
It's like, no. So, you know, I started looking into microtonal theory, and, you know, there's microtonal theorists that don't make music. Most of them don't make music. They listen to these sounds on sine waves and just get off on it. Like, and I get off on it too.
That's about the extent of my relationship with microtonal music.
It's like, I love the Arabic instruments. As a guitarist, you know, you hear an oud, you're like, what the fuck is that thing, man? I want that thing. And I have a saz, I have an oud, I have santur, I have so many of these instruments, and I'm obsessed with them. But then you can. To tune synthesizers is meant to be hard, but no, there is some options. There's retuning software. There's a lot of different retuners.
Yeah, there's one called Scalar or something.
No, Scalar is a file type that some soft and hard. There's guys making
can
hardware.
you like .ton files or whatever?
Yeah, you can retune MIDI, and so all it does is send a note on information with pitch bend information, and so you can.
How Yegon does it?
Yeah, he uses Scalar, and then the thing is, and one of my issues with microtonal stuff in the way that I write music, basically all in the box, is that it limits me to like 4 different fucking synths. Like I can use Zebra 2, Serum, Contact, and I think there's like one more I have that can eat a .ton file, but not a lot.
Yeah, but you don't have to use that. You can. So I use a retuner, so the MIDI comes out to
So how do you write it then? Do you just like send the MIDI in real time through a MIDI keyboard and then it retunes it in the box and then sends it into Ableton?
Either way, like
you got to build your own MIDI keyboard that has the right.
So I use the main one I use is by this dude who actually doesn't even sell it anymore. This guy was so awesome. He helped me so much because when I first got into it, I didn't know I couldn't. You know, because then the main thing is like just intonation theory. That's what it is, and like. You know, classical music, like those musics, that music was just tuned. And this is one of the reasons I think the 12-tone equal temperament got employed is because they wanted to play the same pieces without having to retune and fuck with their instruments.
And also,
so the harmonies are just harmonies are perfect. If you're a just third or a just fifth or a just seventh, it's a completely different thing to a 12-tone version. And the thing is as well, this helps with mixing, like the kind of music, you write more of it than me these days, but you know, when you're doing heavily programmed music, you're trying to fit all these tiny hits that do have a tuning. They do have a like center frequency to some respect. It might pop, it might over the spectrum, you know, it might come over a few octaves or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're essentially trying to jigsaw together all these hits and make them all audible at your discretion.
Yeah.
But with microtonal music, when someone finally makes a fucking digital audio workstation that is made to do this, it is going to be fucking insane what you can do with that.
Well, it's going to be a lot easier to mix because then you're not going to have like fundamentals just layering over the top. Yeah, totally.
Exactly. So
I already do this anyway. Like,
I know. We all do it, but if you're working with just intonation, those overtones are a massive fucking minimum. They're minimum as fuck, man. But you can control every fucking thing that you're hearing there, like a fucking with a million razor blades on your fingers. It's insane.
Yeah.
And people know, all these microtonal theorists, that's what they're interested in, and they're interested in the math side of it, you know, because you can use, and it gets back to all this ancient stuff like geometry, and this is where all of our music came from. Like at the time when people were experimenting with geometry and engineering to make things stronger, to make things this, they were like, hang on, we can put this number there and then we can make a sound frequency that's the same as this light frequency and this, and then we can put two of them together and the waveforms collide. And we've forgotten that we ever did this shit, it seems. Like, that's like, we can take, I like to try and think of taking things back to this, it's called engineering now, electronic engineering or whatever, but I'm not an engineer. I just learn the little bits and I have an interest in how the things, where they came from. And with sound, I see microtonal theory and this way of thinking as taking it back to there. There's two ways, the way I see it, there's two ways. There's like, from a cultural standpoint of, it's like every culture that's existed has had some kind of music and maybe a tuning. And every time languages disappear in culture, you're losing a tuning as well. You're losing musical, like, and what were those? Why were they?
We're down to a one note system at this point.
Yeah, but
Fucking dubstep.
So the main thing is like the one thing that's going to tie all the music together. Like, so you like, okay, there's all these genres. What do they have in common? 12-tone equal temperament. You know, most experimental noise musicians are bending a fucking C and a D together. Like, they're all, everyone's using 12-tone equal temperament. There's no experiment. There's not enough experiment. There's tons
not
of
everyone.
experimentation with
There's
timbre,
artists
but
who
not.
don't. I mean, you're not doing it. Callie Scintilla doesn't do it.
I am doing it. I'm not. I use 12-tone equal temperament still sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I want to not.
I don't think Callie Scintilla has in like years.
Yeah,
I think ever since he started that project, he's always written his music in 432 Pythagorean tuning. Which I have this question for you as well. Like, yeah, what do you?
Don't.
We got to talk
Bill and
about
I
it.
have gone. Bill and I have gone for hours on this.
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
It doesn't take hours. It's very straightforward.
All right, well, give me your 2 cents on
It
it.
doesn't matter what frequency you tune a 12-tone equal temperament to. It's still 12-tone equal temperament.
You're saying for people who just take 440 and tune it down 8 cents?
It doesn't do anything, man.
No, but that's okay.
It changes the frequencies, but it doesn't change the intervals.
Well, here's the issue. It's like you have a lot of people who just do that, who are on YouTube and shit, being like, check it out. It sounds like way warmer and way fatter. And it's like, yeah, because you just took it and tuned it down. It's lower in pitch. Of course, it's going to sound fatter.
It does.
But yeah, exactly. But then
microtonal stuff is completely.
But you also have
Most people are just what they're feeling is the same thing that I feel when I deliberately choose to listen to sounds that I've never heard, to chords that I've never heard before. You know, they like it because they are experiencing sounds that they, you know, even if it's just 8 cents off what they're used to hearing, it's still something different. That's the extent of it, but that they are experiencing something, you know.
Totally. Well, the thing is,
attach a sort of like mystical aesthetic to it.
It's still using that same.
It takes away from the.
It's still using that same mathematician's.
What about the
theory.
Pythagorean tuning though? Because there's
so many different Pythagorean. You can't generalize about it.
Well, there's like the 432 Pythagorean.
There's so
ones.
many, man.
Okay.
Like all of these. That's the thing. Like for me, the thing that just blew my head off when I started to learn about this, there's a thing called the Scala library, and not all microtonal theorists use this, but everyone knows about it. If a microtonal theorist heard me saying this, you fucking wanker. But I think it's a very good place for people to start to try and understand what they're dealing with when you start to look at other tunings. It's like the Scala library. I think there's over 4,000 scales on there. A mixture of different culture, like people who have gone and recorded some kind of like any kind of instruments and transcribed the notes and then made a Scala file that you could then choose a retune a synthesizer with or whatever. But there's also a lot of like microtonal theory-based tunings on there where you can just boot them into your retuner and tune your synth. There's a shit ton of like Pythagorean like tunings on there that people have either read some documents and made a Scala file of it. Mm-hmm. If you start to go into this stuff, there's no end to it.
My issue is that like 90% of the people doing the 432 thing are just tuning the thing down, but there is 10% of these people who actually do use microtonal shit and think that it has like some fucking weird effect.
I believe that coarse sound can excite different things. I mean, that's the thing. It can go as far as you want, I think, personally. Like all this sound healing stuff, I totally believe in it, man. Like I don't believe that heaps of this weird version of it where 432 is going to heal your body. That's fucking ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I think every object has a resonant frequency, but every human is different. So
exactly, yeah.
The volume of their skull is my volume of my skull is different to your.
Yeah, the air temperature inside my stomach is different than the air temperature outside of it.
This stuff,
well, also another thing
close to it,
is we don't even measure time properly. So like one cycle of
scientific thing.
Everything's based on us assuming that a second is constant or accurate.
exactly, which they're not. So like already our cycles per second are like fucked anyway. We just like have a standard
Well,
for
my
them.
whole problem with it's just when you focus on any particular tuning, you end up with the same problem we have by focusing on 440 for thousands of years. Is you just you miss out on thousands and thousands of other possibilities that exist.
There's
you know,
so
it's like
many frequencies, but there's so many. Like for me, the thing I have like at the moment, if you could say it's even microtonal, like I've been using like some makams from the Scala library. I don't know where they're from. I'm not Arabic. I don't go to the places. I don't know. I didn't fucking capture them and transcribe them. But they sound different to if I try to do a makam on a 12-tone equal temperament.
What's a makam? Is it just a tuning?
It's like the word for scale or mode in Arabic,
Okay.
but it also, because you know how Arabic has a billion meanings for each word, it also means place.
Okay.
And then each makam is the name of a different place. And it's like notes that they use to create their melodies that each place has their own one.
That's cool. Kind of like brings it back to it's like the context.
Exactly. And this is what is again missing in like we're in all these genres, you know, like what?
Yeah.
Like those people like and again, knows how long ago they started this shit. So this stuff is really I like to think about it. It's not like it's the only way and I change my mind every fucking day. So one day I won't be probably interested in it. But for me, like I've been using makams, the new album I've been working on for a while, on and off for like 5 or 6 years, has heaps of makams in it. But I'm also mega interested to experiment in like, I've made my own scales, but like really go into it. You know, there's like I just observe like the work of a few microtonal theorists like Craig Grady's an American guy who lives in Australia. He lives in Wollongong actually. That dude has helped me so much just explaining like, because when you start working with just intonation, it's all fraction based, you know, fraction based division of the octave. Like you just saying, okay, 1 to 1, 1 to 10, 1 to 7, 1, you know.
I mean, that's how 12-tone works too, though.
Totally.
Yeah.
But then when you're talking, like they all talk in this language all the time.
Okay,
It's like,
yeah.
and they have their own terms and like all these things that I don't really understand. At times I have, but if I'm not a maths guy, so I don't remember this stuff that well, but if I go to start working in it again, I can remember. But they're working in all these things, and I observe what they're doing. And there's like guys like Irv Wilson, who recently died, who was like this hectic microtonal theorist that built these 3D like models of his scales, so he could look at vast scales. And that's the stuff that I really want to get into, where it's like
Should talk a bit more into this thing.
where the frequencies like where you can create these vast scales and you're so in control of the harmony that you can actually create rhythms very precisely with the beating of the notes between each other and stuff
Dude,
like this.
speaking of which, did
Like
you...
subtly to start with, but then okay, example, if you have like a chord that has 100 notes, for example, the harmonies are creating different...
It's literally just an insane polyrhythm when you slow it down.
Exactly, but also, but for me, because of the input controls, I want to then take that and then create envelopes based on some amplitude of a, you know, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. So start to trigger sounds from within a chord. So actually using the harmony to drive the entire piece of music, rather than I'm just trying to get away from this idea of like the stuff we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think to get away from this linear thing, and also just thinking about genres and like trying to get back into like sound.
It's almost like you just
human
expended all of...
I don't even know what it is, but you can see what I'm.
I feel like what it is it's that you expended like so many of the options in traditional, well, not traditional, but like you expended so many options in the Western way of working, like in terms of how like notes and polyrhythms and all of this shit works, that now you're trying to find like fucking more complicated, weird shit to work with.
You could say that, but like I got very, you know, at times I've been, I would say, very proficient with guitar. Like I could probably play most things that anyone tried to get me to play, not sight reading or anything, but like, you know, I can pick things up relatively fast. I had all the techniques. So I had a really good guitar teacher. He taught me very good technique. You know, and if I pushed it, I could play. I think that I could learn to play anything. But there's a point where I started getting this stuff and I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So, yeah, I didn't get to like, oh, yeah, I'm sick of using 12-tone temperament. It's more that I started thinking more about where it came from and what it is. And I can't remember how I even came. Well, yeah, it's learning about Arabic instruments and then learning, oh, they don't use 12-tone equal temperament in Arabic countries. What do they use? Oh, makams. What's a makam? And then And then, yeah, of course I knew some of the basic frequencies of what 12-tone Hilbert temperament was, but I didn't know what it was. And then you're like, hang on, that's just one option for like creating a scale. How do you create scales? And then, you know, you start to learn about this stuff, and then you realize that it's closely knit into, you know, engineering and science and culture. And then obviously apparently before everyone was connected in the way we are now, like people were doing all these different things at the opposite ends of the world, and it's obviously then it's connected to language, and it's like it's all connected. So I think, and there's not, you don't see it all the time. And I know it's kind of a trendy thing, or, you know, you see it popping up a lot now, and guitar companies are making what you mentioned before with fan frets are like multi-scale. So that's just to get string tension good on a
that's like that's a fan fret thing. But like there's guitars that have like, you know, these frets that are just all weird fucking
That's a
shapes.
just intonation guitar.
Yeah, so it's like every note is going to be
So the fret's
weird.
actually like kind of wiggly.
Yeah,
straight
yeah, they're like
to adjust for the.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane to see.
So
one
yeah,
of
the
these.
intervals on the chords on those guitars are incredible. And I was so like, because right at about the time where I had that fan fret guitar, you know, the one I've got.
Yeah, the one that the Novaks,
Spalt.
right?
Yeah, it's got Spalt. This Novaks has a patent originally, I think, for fan frets.
And they made that Charlie Hunter guitar and stuff.
Yeah, and then
Do you know
I have a
Charlie Hunter?
Spalt.
Name sounds familiar.
He's probably from New York, man. Is he New York based? Oh, that would make sense too. Yeah, I don't know. He's like from one of the big jazz pockets, but yeah, he's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, my friend was really into Charlie Hunter, and like his playing is incredible. You know, he does the whole. He's got like fucking 10 people in his head. Like he's playing like walking bass lines.
Yeah,
and
he has a
over the top of
fan
one
fret guitar. So like the top few strings are basically a bass guitar, and then the bottom 5 are basically a regular guitar.
Oh, so it's like a war guitar or like a stick.
No, it's by this company called Novaks, and they do this fan fret thing. But basically, he plays like these walking bass lines whilst doing solos at the same time. It's insane.
Like a lot of jazz guys do this, but he's taken that technique to another level. Like the guitar has the 3 top strings are fabric inside them. Like they're full flat
they're basically
wounds.
like bass strings.
I think he has full flat wounds on the top 3, and then the rest of it goes into maybe semi-flats or flat wound, and then into planes on the top.
Yeah.
But he has 2 outputs, so the top pickup goes out into a bass amp, the bottom pickup goes into like more of a guitar amp. But he's really doing this quite adjacent, strange, complex.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like King Crimson or bands
totally.
like that. Like
Tony Lovett. He's
Rip.
insane.
does the same thing with he has the Chapman stick, where it's like it's six bass strings and then 6 guitar strings. And he's
That's Tony Lovett, right? The bald guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's insane. He was in a band. He started another band with Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater called Liquid Tension Experiment.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Super
into like King Crimson. But I only got into them after like a band that I had. Someone told us it was like King Crimson. But as for the guitars, like the Just guitars, I mean, I was pretty stoked to see Meshuggah starting to use Just guitars.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Oh,
they've
awesome.
got Just next, and that makes 100% sense.
They're also
Frederick. What's his name?
Thorndal or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so that dude is like in that band is kind of been leading the way in getting that.
Yeah.
This icon, like, which is now like in metal, like it's like everyone wants that guitar tone.
Yeah.
But that dude is like the master of trying to dial in this fucking monstrosity guitar tone.
Mm-hmm.
And to like, so when I had that Spalt, like that multi-scale, so then you have a longer scale guitar on the top. You know, I had a 5-string Spalt and I had like a 70 gauge on the top. I can't remember what I used to tune that. It was tuned really low. But then Meshuggah, and then I found out about Just intonation necks. And I reckon a couple of years later I saw he had a Just neck.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're trying to create that, then going back to what we were talking about with mixing, you imagine his main thing is trying to and their music is very like one string for all that big stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it cuts through.
Mm-hmm.
He can't play chords and it's not going to cut through like that. We all know that.
Totally, yeah. It's going to get
now
too
you can
dense.
see where he's going. I love to feel like I'm there with him. It's like,
well, he's also I think all of Meshuggah are like all vegans too, and I think from what I've heard, from what I've heard from people who are touring with him, they're like full health nuts and shit on the road too.
I mean, his guitar, like I can see where he's going, and it's fucking awesome. Like that, to go into the Just realm with the guitar, to get that kind of tone, that's what you have to do. And that next album where he's got that shit, everyone's going to hear it. It's going to go like it's like how can you get it even bigger?
Yeah,
Because it's fucking massive. Like, I mean, like, what do you do? But he's done it. And now and I dare say maybe the next thing is like we've talked about it before. I've talked to you about maybe a door that there should be software that, you know, if we weren't all trying to forge 12-tone equal temperament into a mix, what would the software be? It'd be like, it should be able to find the frequencies where there's holes. It should be able to find the inverse amplitude of the mix where there's pockets where you could fit something. And for sounds that you don't care if they're harmonizing, that should be one button.
Right.
That's the way I see it. We should be able to mix without speakers.
Okay.
Shouldn't we? Like, I love to do it, and we all love to do it.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
making music, but there should be tools to help us get volume, like we've been talking about, which is the thing. There's software engineers that can do this like without even thinking. They're like, oh, what? You just need to analyze that thing. There's libraries that exist that do it to make the phones be able to record our fucking voice from the other side of the room so they can pull data off it.
Right.
So why the fuck shouldn't it be able to fucking filter out, you know, so...
Yeah, so much, especially with like when you see like it, you know, the visual feedback that even like stuff like that, it's pretty, but it's still incredibly crude.
Yeah, well, re-noise is the only
especially
one.
just like any EQ, it's like subtractive EQing. It's like when you realize that how that technology works, it's very like when you're notching stuff out, you're not actually pulling. It's not really. It's not something out there grabbing the frequency and removing it.
Well, you know how EQs work, right?
Yeah, it's just inverting the phase.
It's a phase inversion. So if you want to remove like, you know, a couple of dB.
Even if subtractive, it's still additive, you know?
Yeah. It's adding a process to do it at least.
Yeah, that Bob Katz book talked about that you stole.
What Bob Katz book did?
No, it did. He talked about, I don't know how the algorithms work these days, but he was talking about
fucking Bob Katz book.
if you cut something, then it's, in other parts of the spectrum, it's actually doing stuff as well.
Yeah, there's like some sort of phase boost that happens like on the lips of your notch.
Yeah. There's totally all kinds of stuff.
The classic Pultec EQs do that. And people like wanted that sound for a while. Like when you cut a certain thing, it like resonates to the frequency just below or above it.
I mean, I remember reading that book and learning a little bit about that, but I don't know much about that stuff.
I don't remember reading that book at all.
Sounds like a book I probably need to read, to be honest.
But no, all this, I just think, where's it going to go? Like, what's Frederick going to do next? I think that, like, to get, you know, it's going to be the software's got to change. Like, if you, and it again gets to what we were talking about before, it's like that whole thing needs to change so we can have more time to do other shit. We shouldn't have to fucking sit there and jam shit into this space, man. We should. That's ridiculous. What are we doing? We've got these machines that are emulating a tape machine. It's faster. Yeah, it's cleaner. It's like, what else does it do? Can't we, like, I don't know, like, it's kind of strange that it's got to this point where it stopped. I remember when Ableton first came out and, like, everyone was blown away about time stretching like that. You could fucking just grab that transpose knob and turn it down and it was still, you know, the grid stayed on the fucking, on the grid state where it was.
Right.
And, like, what else has happened since then? Like, it's like everyone, what did they sell? I don't even know. I think they had the patent, didn't they? Like, they came up with that.
But stretching,
they sold it to everyone. Everyone got it
Logic started using elastic audio. And
so someone had that patent and then, or maybe they found ways around it, but whatever. They were the first one to have it and it blew everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And, but what's the next thing that's happened since then? Like, really, like, it's like we just got to that and it's like, okay.
Well, there's a lot of like stuff that's come out like granulizers, and then there's been like there's new EQs now. Like, so what you're talking about
in a primitive form for a long time.
Yeah. Pro Q3 kind of works.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like you can put it on every channel.
Stuff like that is like that. Like those are the things that impress me these days.
And that's the monumental things. Like, and the way I see it is, it's going to just go to that, and then that should be an autonomous process.
Well, there's another thing called track spacer. Do you know about this one? Same
or
kind
even
of
things
deal,
like Soothe, like plugins
Soothe
like that
is fucking
blown
amazing.
away.
Dude, Soothe is sick.
What's Soothe?
It's like a spectral resonance remover. So like you put it on something that has too much resonance, and it's basically like a de-esser/dynamic EQ, but it's way more eloquent and it sounds way better.
See, I haven't looked at this.
Yeah, and it literally kind of you set like parameters and a strength, and it looks for little tiny peaks throughout, like in real time, and we'll move.
I gotta piss. I'll be right back.
And it's very dynamic notch EQ.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like Melodyne shit. I mean, yeah, it's fucking hardcore. There's all this stuff there, but I still think it's not influencing the workflow that much. Like it is, of course, for people like me or you who would hear about that and then just want to use it.
Right.
But for like people getting into it, the first thing they get is a linear timeline. Yeah, Ableton has.
Well, I
like
mean,
a clip
other than
view and-
other than the actual processing power of the computer, finishing a tune is not any easier now than it was 10 years ago.
No, exactly. You like, I don't know. I just think that
It's just less expensive. That's it.
yeah.
I mean,
Totally, man. It's way less.
mixing a track now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's all the same. The only difference is how much the gear costs.
That's it. But I think there's an avenue, like, these plugins that you're mentioning, I should have talked about those. Like, I don't know the new ones that I didn't know that you told me.
They're pretty, like, even the company I think is pretty recent.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, finally the types of things everyone wishes that should be. I mean,
that stuff is incredible. And I always have, like, I think a lot about the metering. Like, I think there should be like 3D kind of interface these days, a UI. Like, so you see like a spectrograph or
I was seeing,
like all these metering like that. I use a lot of this stuff as well. But you should be able to flip that on 3 dimensions and be able to view, like zoom in on it and stuff like this. Because you should be able to generate envelopes from like subtleties within the waveform, I think. Like, of course you can, but you should be able to really get in there and like, oh shit, in my opinion, like
for mixing kind of stuff, there's this new, I don't know how new it is. It's a DAW called Sequoia.
Sequoia, yeah. Why have I heard of that? What is it?
It's super expensive. It's like
oh yeah, what
it's a mastering program.
Not the Capybara.
No, that's Kaima.
That's Kaima.
Kaima is also
what's Sequoia again? I've heard of it, but
Sequoia.
It's a mastering.
It's a mastering program, but what I've seen recently for like mixing purposes is one of the like windows it has is literally like a 3-dimensional cube, and you place your sound objects within that. It's for mixing and mastering for VR and stuff like that. And you literally
I think I've seen this.
You have like an actual space where you can place and it's like. And you'd think that it should be that easy, but obviously it's, I can't code software. I don't know how to make that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's mega graphics intensive. I mean, even Ableton is just like, it's like, I don't know, I just get a lot of ideas about this stuff, man. Like, I just think, for compression timing and stuff, like, really you should be able to see a waveform and just see it from the top. Like, I want to see them all coming in. Like, I want to have, like, multi-track traces so you can see the actual shape of...
Like, why it's taken so long for graphic EQ to let you see multiple tracks at once in the window is like...
Totally, man.
I mean, I get that it's incredibly graphics intensive to render all of that in real time as audio is playing through, but...
Well, that's the thing. Like, I remember when... Because, the Metric Halo has the Spectrafoo.
Yep.
And Tim had the Spectrafoo. I've got the ULN 2, but he had, like, the ULN 8, and he bought all of those fucking bundles when he first bought it, man. It's, like, so expensive.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to have Spectrafoo on multi-track on another monitor, like how Bill runs his. But I just don't have Spectrafoo. But Renoise has that, like, in the fucking...
Just like built in or whatever.
Spectrograph.
Yeah,
like
just like
you have multi-channel in each color. And I remember I built something in Max at one point to do it. And it was really good.
Reaper
Max,
has this too.
Does it?
Yeah, it has what's called spectral peaks, and like
you should be able to work from that. That's what I'm saying.
You can in Reaper, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so you can set like a threshold, and you can say like, I want certain frequencies to come up in the waveform as blue, and certain ones to come up as green, and certain ones to come up as red, and then certain peaks to come up as certain colors as well.
But can you cut? But you can EQ based on that.
I think you can make your spectrum in an EQ.
Because like it's so goofy. Like with mixing, your job is to basically cut a whole bunch of jigsaw puzzle pieces to fit together, but you're only allowed to look at one piece at a time.
Yeah, this is it.
That's the game.
So, like what we were just talking about directly flows into the way I think it should work. So what you just said, that's great. But then you should be able to say, okay, well that bottom from that frequency to that frequency that I've decided is blue, that's my lowest Q point. The other one's my highest Q point. Now, that track's band pass, for example. I want to be able to now generate an oscillation in this synthesizer that's in there. Then I want to be able to quantize that oscillation to this scalar file or to this tuning.
Right.
Then I want to generate a bunch of other oscillations up an octave or wherever, and then they'll perfectly jigsaw in in other parts of this spectrum that I'm working with here.
Right.
And then on top of that, I want to generate, like, I want to trigger things. I want to be able to set the bleed where, like, the summing happens. I want to be able to decide, like, all of these things. We have the computer power to make something that does that, and that will blow, like, music creation into a completely new realm.
Yeah,
not just emulating a tape machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we can start to really consider, like, what we're doing there, like,
and what the sound is how the sounds are, because you don't really get to like, you can EQ your sounds, but how the sounds interact with each other is still always on your ears and not really on anything
Totally,
else.
man.
Like, I would love if you could just be able to have an EQ with two waveforms, one's yellow and one's blue, and you stick them right on top of each other. They're playing at the same time, and you deal with where it's green.
I mean, you kind of can deal. You sort of can do that with Pro Q3 now, but it's not quite like.
But like, you
colored.
can't. Can you adjust each waveform individually from the same window?
Not the waveforms, but you can adjust the spectrum.
the EQ.
Yeah, you can adjust each EQ from the same window, I believe.
yeah, those guys.
Well,
like,
that's what I want.
I
only have two.
I've got a crack of one of those plugins,
No, you don't.
and I haven't even, because I know what it does, and
What are you talking about?
I want to have that option, but I haven't been in heavy, like, programming land for a long time, so I haven't needed to use it because the tracks that I've been doing. But yeah, these kind of tools are totally. Those dudes are on the right track. I just wish those dudes had the investors or someone to, like, help them build a DAW that deals with it. And for me, like, thinking about the instruments that I build, they should be working in that realm. Like, having these high resolution inputs, as you know, we've talked about it before, like, I'm trying to get to the point where I'm actually controlling more of the harmonic content by, like, quantized to some kind of scale of the microtonal things that I'm interested in. I've talked to you about the birds and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that as well.
But at the same time, when I think about all this stuff that we're talking about and then tie it to my instruments,
Yeah.
those things go perfectly hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of having a floating input that's like 13-bit 0 to 8,000 resolution
Mm-hmm.
and then quantizing that to 128 is fucking retarded. Like, as if I can play, like, I mean, as if my muscle memory can make me poke around, like, axes to play some complex microtonal scale. It's not really possible, but at the same time, like, having these really finite, like, movements translating to some kind of maybe harmonic content or modulating something, I think it's a bit weird to use MIDI. Like, so to me, the two things go together pretty well. Like,
What about MIDI 2.0? Have you heard about that?
And microtonal.
Have you heard
stuff.
about MIDI 2.0?
Yeah, but this is just improving.
It has like 4 billion points of resolution versus 127.
Yeah, but you could. Yeah, I mean, but that's not to do with input. Yeah, it's not to do with analog to digital conversion with what I'm talking about. But yeah, this stuff. Yeah, of course. Then you could use that protocol off the back of what I'm doing, of course. But still. Yeah, I mean, of course, there needs to be some protocols that all the software companies use to be able to build instruments that interface with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same, for me, like, where everything's been written, I can adapt to everything, like, somehow. But at the same time, yeah, of course, you have to respect that stuff that's happening because that's what's going on. But yeah, when I looked over the MIDI 2.0 protocol, like, I just saw that it's. How to kind of, I don't know, it was like, why are we bothering to go only this far?
Well, it's, I mean, I can't see any purpose for there to be more resolution than that.
No, not just about resolution, it's just about how the whole thing works.
Yeah,
Because it's all about 12-tone equal temperament to start with, and then, like, that's the problem.
Well, it
So
can be, with that
like,
much
the funniest-
resolution, it could be any tuning.
It can be, but it's still based on that premise.
Right.
At one point, you know, like, if you're dealing just with analog, like, I don't know, like, it's you know, to retune. Like, you know, all of our instruments are MIDI and you're retuning them. Like, well, if you're using that stuff, you know, if you're using any software or even this stuff to generate frequencies, you're like, if you're making your own software, you're not dealing with MIDI. Like,
Right, yeah, it's all like OSC and shit.
Well, no, like, if you make a really basic synthesizer in Max, you're just punching in numbers into a cycle object and making notes, making, like, and then how you control that is up to you. If you need to try and control it by a conventional keyboard, the easiest way to do it is to use, like, MIDI protocol objects in Max. So there's straight away MIDI's involved. That's only because we want to use a MIDI protocol instrument.
Right.
If we
Like,
weren't using
if
MIDI
you ever want
protocol
to draw
instruments,
in,
we wouldn't even think about MIDI.
Yeah.
we'd be just doing something else, like not even OSC, because that's just another protocol. But you just send like
You just tell it to do what you want it to do.
you just send
you're
that
scripting.
They
at
have
that point.
analog input, and you send those numbers into another piece of code that turns those numbers into whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you're-
But it's still a linear thing usually in the end, but a linear input or something. But still, I don't know. It's not so much the resolution; it's just the whole thing. You know, if you want to send a message, then that's where OSC is good, because you can make your own messages. You can call them what you want. You don't have to use this.
Yeah, you can
whole
just
protocol.
like name it like a word.
Yeah, just whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
and so if you're organizing things, it's easier. And then in the future, I mean, it's getting easier to connect instruments. The speed will probably get better, I suppose, because there'll be a new way other than maybe radio. I can't even go there because I don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about. But
Right.
I think the speed, there'll be new things to transfer data wirelessly.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the stuff you were telling me before about how you're converting birds and Tesla coils into scales.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Tesla coil is probably the easiest one to talk about. Like that track that we were talking about, that first track that I played the other night, I think made by Irv Wilson, a microtonal theorist that Craig Grady, I heard he did a piece with it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, that thing is fucking crazy. Like, it just feels like you're in some fucking ancient it just feels like you're in some world that we're not in now. And I was like, can you tell me what that is? And he explains it to me, sends me all these different ways. And he did a piece on the Santor. So he sent me his Santor tuning. So then I was working, I used it as a thing to try and learn about their terminology and stuff. And then the guy that makes my retuning software, that I use, Red Barn Goat Farm, this Steve, I forget his last name, but
The software is called Red Barn Goat Farm.
his company is called Red Barn Goat Farm, and it's called Little Miss Scale Oven.
Okay.
And it is fucking phenomenal. Like,
All right.
it's so awesome. But that's the main one I use. You can send MIDI out of any works door, and obviously on OS X it's really easy with the virtual MIDI ports. You send out to that.
It's pretty easy on Windows too. You use a thing by a guy called Tobias Eriksson called RTP MIDI. And
There
it's
used
just
to be another one I used to use.
MIDI yoke.
Yeah, MIDI
Yeah,
yoke.
no, this one's way
That
better.
thing
Yeah.
was fucked.
Yeah,
I remember
MIDI
using
yoke sucked.
yoke when there was the first video synth, like where you could drag video. Our Chaos VJ.
Yep.
So when I first went to see DJ Shadow, he was using that, and I was like, okay, I've got to try and do that. And then I've got a crack of like Archaeos VJ, and I had to use MIDI yoke somewhere. But anyway, so yeah, you send out to virtual MIDI ports, sends back in with a pitch bent MIDI, and then you reach in your synth. But that guy, I wrote to him and I was like, because all these guys know each other. I was like, Craig Grady's helping me with this tuning. Just wondering if you could tell me how to build this tuning in the software, like just so I can learn like workflow with this stuff. And yeah, he's like, these guys are so into it, especially him. He just writes back this fucking massive emails explaining everything, but like correlation to where that tuning's from and the people and the instruments. It's like, what the fuck? Like you open up like your history book into like,
Yeah.
and this is what these guys are like, and this is why I love it, because it's not about genres, it's about like
They're just excited about shit.
culture stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's about
So-
building a context around the music.
Exactly,
It's not-
but it's a real context. It's like history. It's crazy. So I mean, I love it. So he tells me this, but that's what that tuning is.
Right.
So it's an ancient Mozambique tuning, but as you go further back in time with these tunings, whether it's Greek or that or whatever, they sort of start to move and they start to sound not the same, but like, I don't know, like, because they're going back to the earlier times in humanity where maybe the only people experimenting with this stuff were like one group of people, kind of. That then,
Right.
and we've probably all looked at like stuff with the Masons, like Freemasons or the Knights Templar and all this sort of stuff. It would have been these guys that were maybe starting to think about sound in these ways because they were designing buildings, they were looking at geometry, and it's all linked. And so these guys are all like that, like they know all this stuff, and it's like. So he helps me with the tuning. I build the retune. At the time, I was mega interested in. I'm always interested in stuff, but I bought a Tesla coil, like a kit, from this German company who also do plasma speakers. So Tesla coils can play polyphonic sounds, very high fidelity. Like you can have speakers that are just plasma in the air
Mm-hmm.
that play mega complex waveforms like fucking those.
Right.
But
It's
it's a different way of
speaker
doing
made out
it.
of plasma.
It's
Are they
crazy shit.
noisy, like when they're just sitting there? Because I could.
We'll have a look later. You can hear, but so I got this Tesla coil. It's just a little kit one. It's like that big. Runs on really low voltage. Like you can touch the fucking arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like zaps you, but it's not anything fatal. You just run a small power supply, and the same company. Like these things are for like science students to learn about what a Tesla coil does, and they make a whole range of products like this. You can buy them bigger ones, smaller ones, kits, pre-built, like anything. So I bought one of these, and it has an optical input, and I've got a MIDI card that turns MIDI into optical that the Tesla coil can read. It can do up to only 2 or 3 voice polyphony. I can't remember. That's probably a contradiction within something, but it'd be something to do with But yeah, it does only a few voices. But so
Wait,
I just had
the
this
coil,
idea
instead of just sounding like electricity, it can actually generate notes.
Yeah.
And the notes are like they just sound like electricity, but they're pitched.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Totally.
What's vibrating? Like what's
Electrons in midair.
Okay, it's like that.
It's as analog can get.
Yeah, that's
It's like it's fucking electrons just colliding. That's what the arc on a Tesla coil is. Like it's the electricity, the current that just has to escape into the electrons in the atmosphere because it can't be contained in that coil anymore. And like
that's crazy. I didn't know you could pitch that shit.
Oh yeah, like if you look online, there's guys building enormous Tesla coils and using like MIDI guitars and controlling with these helmets with big like that arc onto their body and shit. Wear these big suits with leather like rubber.
Yeah, there's like
soles.
videos online of people like playing like Super Mario. With
Yeah,
their
they always
songs.
play the stupid shit. But yeah, like so I bought one of those and the thing sounds absolutely incredible. It's like this crazy fucking oscillator it's just like it's fucking like electrons smashing together in the air. Of course that's what that is, but it's like you can see it. And so anyway, you can play polyphony on it. You can buy one that's monophonic, but I bought the polyphonic one. Don't ask me technically how it all works because I don't know. I should be learning about it because I want to build some bigger ones. But anyway, so yeah, then I just started to think, okay, I have a Santor. Anything you play on a Santor sounds like it's from millions of years ago. It's like this. It's one of the first. What's apparently the first stringed instruments. The box with strings on it.
Yeah.
With movable. What are they? Hurrocks. They're called like the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So because on a Santor you have strings coming out over the sort of bridge, and they go up onto a hurrock, and then they go back across the bridge. So you can end up making octaves on each side.
Yeah, moving it around like either tightens or lengthens.
That's how you do the intonation on it. So the whole thing's built like that. But it's got 3 or more strings on each group of strings that are tuned to the same note. Or you can do whatever you want. But it's a very good instrument to like, they have like a canon. Like there's all these ancient Greek instruments that they were using to, like Harry Partch has his own adaptations of all these instruments where they used to be working out tunings. This is where they started, like with a box with strings going across and tuning them all and using their maths and working out how all the frequencies work together. So a Santor is like probably the older version of that where they did it, but then later with the Greeks probably started to really work their math on it. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know where all that came from. Like I have a friend I'd love to talk to him about that. But anyway, like the canon, like a lot of these microtonal theorists have these instruments, not a Santor, but the more simple one that's just. So anyway, I had a Santor. Craig Grady had this piece that he did with that scale. I was just fucking obsessed with it. And so I started to experiment with that tuning. I changed it a bit as well. First, I was using a Persian tuning that Santor is made to be used with, which is Sur Makam. It's like a Persian Makam. And then I started to work with his one. And I had a zither. A zither is like an even simpler. It's like common in like Europe, like Switzerland, Germany. They all have zithers as like a very common thing. It's just like a box with strings on it. And so I tuned the zither to this Metamavilla scale. I tuned the Santor and Metamavilla. I retuned all the synthesis in that track, which is kind of, I can't remember what synth that track is, and it's probably operated, it's probably FM. And then the Tesla coil is tuned to it as well.
Right.
So it was just in my head, like kind of picturing ancient Egypt if
they had fucking Ableton or something.
Like, you know how people say, oh yeah, the pyramids are like a battery and they're a Tesla coil and blah, blah. I was kind of just thinking a bit about that.
Right.
And just thinking to make this visualization of like this harmonious place where like everything is together, like the tuning, the language, the way that people are getting their electricity, I don't know, like just a stupid thing, like to try and put it all together, like everything in the whole track is tuned and it's kind of, it's just my own thing. It's totally stupid, but it's kind of like recreating, I don't know, trying to make this scene in my head that's like all these things coming together. But anyway, that's just mine.
I think that's good though. I mean, quite often when I go to write music, I will have like no idea and I'll have no picture in my head and I'll literally just get to a finished product through process. I'll just be like, I'm literally just going to fucking grind on Ableton until a tune exists.
Yeah. That's something that you and I have talked about a bunch about.
I do that all the time. Most of my tracks.
The different things that come out when you're like, when you have some sort of, like, even if it's abstract, conceptual versus just trying to have it be whatever permutation of you sitting at the computer for a few hours is.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I still,
it's cool, you know?
I still do that as well. I used to do it a lot more, but these days I honestly know what I want to make now.
Cool, that's good.
And when it gets to like with the microtonal stuff, yeah, I really like. And as it gets, like, I've only just started with that stuff, you know. Like I really, I don't know. Like I want to learn. I want to know a bit more about it before I start utilizing it, like properly.
Yeah.
You know, it's so complicated, and to try and get that going with a lot of other stuff I'm trying to do, like I have to be really focused on it or I'll start forgetting it. But yeah, like it moves into the stuff about the birds you asked about. So the bird thing is a whole other thing.
Where you're basically like taking recordings of birds and then trying to like pull the tunings from just the shit they naturally do. So
that comes from a lot of experiments I've done with animals. A long, long time ago when I had a mini disc players were out.
Oh, yeah, dude, I remember those.
So mini disc players used to be able to transpose the fucking audio, that you just recorded on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
You just play it way slower.
Right.
It didn't time stretch it, but it just
slowed the disc down, yeah.
But just a little bit. So I remember the first time I did it, I recorded like a locust or a cricket or a cricket.
Right.
You know, they talk to each other. And they usually go faster and slower until they lose each other's sync.
Right, yep.
So there was a cricket doing it and there was no other cricket responding. So I recorded the cricket and then just started responding to it.
With its own fucking voice.
Speeding it up and slowing down. The fucking thing starts following me. It's getting faster and faster till it couldn't do it. And then I do it slower. So it couldn't go slower either. It's like, there was like a threshold where he or she or whatever would get to this slow speed and it wouldn't leave a longer gap between the like intervals any like rhythmically. You'd reach its limits.
So you found the bounds.
Yeah, kind of. So,
that's cool.
So that's the first thing I did. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to play with this stuff one day because like where I live.
Like some Alvin Lucier type shit.
So where I live, like, you know, anywhere in lots of places in Australia have the cicadas and they kind of do a bit the same thing. They go shh.
Yeah.
They're all going. It's just chaos, and then they slowly slip into like time together, and then the whole forest is going whoosh, 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 until it just turns into this noise.
Right, because they all start like unsyncing and just turns.
So I want to do this on a more grand scale with like cicada sound and get the whole forest in that area doing it and throwing them in and out of time. So that's one thing. But then with birds, I've done other experiments. So if you record a bird, get a good recording of it. And now, because of some of these tools that we've been talking about, what's the WAV editor?
Like Resonic? Or like SoundForge or Audacity or some shit?
No, there's one that it's by Sony or someone that doesn't really get a look in that
Sony,
much.
That's SoundForge, I think. Or Vegas, maybe?
There's one, I keep forgetting it. Like, I found it a long time ago, and
I'm almost certain it's SoundForge.
Well, what's the soft synth like the Native Instruments ones that have where you can highlight part of the spectrum, the FFT shit.
Oh, Iris.
Okay, so that same thing.
That's Isotope. Though. Isotope does that.
Yeah, Isotope. So there's a WAV editor that uses this same stuff, and the WAV editor was like 5 years before no isotope started using it, or I first saw it, and like
medicines
like
maybe.
RX. But it's also
Isotope, RX. Yeah, there's also that medicine thing as well.
yeah, no,
could do that
it's from around the
I'm
same
thinking of like
time as
the Audio
medicine.
Sculpt or Sound Hack. Or
No,
not Sound. Audio Sculpt, and what was the
It's
other
like
one?
it's got some. I swear Sony is the one that developed it.
Soundforge.
No, it's definitely not Soundforge. If you say the name, I'll know it.
All right.
I'll find it later, but
Yeah, don't worry about it.
it's crazy.
So you had a piece of
you can
software.
get a multi-track song and just pull out the fucking kick drum, pull out the fucking vocals.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's flawless. So, okay, so if you record a bird in the wild, yeah, you're going to get a shit ton of fucking background noise and stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to start to use that web editor, which I can't remember the name of, and it will pull out the perfect things. But anyway, if you record any bird, even without doing that, if you slow the fucking bird call down, the thing is like to what our ears and brains can decipher as what the bird is saying. The fucking frequency modulation that's happening within what we hear is like, it's like they're cramming. Like when we say, "How you going, mate?"
Right.
That's like a million words for them.
Yeah.
But it's like the data exchange that they're doing is in like these fucking mega tight little packages with a shit ton of information that our brains can't fucking decipher fast.
Right.
They're communicating on a way higher level than we realize.
Right.
So I've
Well,
done
they're also like way more evolved than us, right? Like birds have been around since like dinosaur
it's
days.
mental. But this is the thing I'm very interested in, animal communications. They use infrared light. They use audio that's outside of our spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
They use all kinds of things that we don't know about,
totally.
and we can't see and hear.
There's like that mantis shrimp. Do you know about that thing? It
Maybe
looks insane. It's like a. It basically it has so our eyes have 3 cones in them, so we're only able to see like a certain spectrum of light. These mantis shrimps have 11 cones in their eyes, and they just look insane. Like if you look at them, they're just like fucking green and purple and red, and they have swords for hands and shit. Like
what do you think a mantis shrimp looks like to a mantis shrimp? If they can perceive,
fucking
like they're already like
they already look insane to us.
Yeah,
like just the fact that it looks like they could see a whole spectrum we couldn't see. Like they just look like that.
Yeah, but I mean, all these animals, like I must know that animal, but it's not coming to mind. But like, you know, you've got like the cuttlefish as well, like, you know, that basically have like, you know, they can go near an object and make their skin the color of the, you know.
Or like
an octopus, like
that's
just
like
chameleons and
like,
shit.
it's insane. So all of these things I'm really interested in, and so the communications are also as complex. Like, so it's like I'm interested. Like, so with the bird thing, it's like, yeah, I've done experiments with birds as well, with which a lot of people would have done. So you can kind of converse with the bird as well, but it's obviously much more complicated. So you record their call, you play it back to them. They usually, to our ears, respond with the same call. And then so if a bird goes, it does 2 different ones to you. Like I've noticed with one bird I was doing, I don't even know what kind of bird it was, but it would call to me, and then so I record that call. It was calling just in general. I could record that call, and then the fucking thing it was coming like kind of swooping at me, but like coming near me and trying to see what I was, like, because I'm doing the noise. It's like, it doesn't know how the fuck I'm making the noise. It thinks I'm a bird.
Right.
So it would do the same noise back, and then it would do another one. So it would do, and then it would go, like, then what else? You know, you're like, hello, what's going on? It'd say, like, what's going on to me.
And you just say hello again. Sort of.
Yeah, and I'm saying hello again.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, no, here it is again.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? So I'd record that one, and then I'd play that to him, and then it would get to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to like work out what its calls are. And I'm sure this happens all the time with people trying to.
Yeah.
Well, I used to have growing up, I had a pet parakeet, and I can kind of do like and like we would have basically conversations all.
Yeah, you knew what it was.
It could tell that I was trying to imitate it, and it would be pretty much just trying to imitate me.
But this stuff, I'm mega interested in it. So with this album, I just with that album, I'm going to record a bunch of the birds' calls, and then just to start with, all the main notes that they're singing within that, like within their calls, I'm going to transcribe those and turn them into Scala files. So there'll be like a whole library of Australian birds that are near me. And then so you can retune all your synthesizers.
Well, I wonder, how much are they responding to the frequency versus the formant? You know,
I don't know yet, and this is something I'm also really interested in, man. Because but this, okay, so it goes further. So the first part is that. Second part, well, same rhythms. Transcribe the rhythms. because I'm interested in a lot of other ways to generate rhythms. Like, but I don't know if I'll go into that. There's not really any point going into that. But you can use a lot of the same maths to make the microtonal scales to create rhythms.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's all this stuff, so we don't have to go into it. But anyone that is understanding this stuff, we know. So the rhythms I'm going to pull out, because obviously the birds have different rhythms to their calls. So between those two things, I want to try and make music that's using those as the fundamental building blocks for it, but also then using my input controllers integrate into that somehow as well.
And you're going to make a whole album just from birds?
Totally, yeah. The one after the one I'm working on now has a lot of the Arabic stuff. The one after that is the bird one. And the one after is where it becomes totally real-time live. All of it's made. So I'll transcribe all these frequencies. Then my inputs playing harmonies on the instruments will be the bird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a lot of samples, like what I was talking about before, with the sound design with the feet, all the Foley style stuff, and that'll be triggering as well, like harmony stuff. It'll be modulating stuff. It'll be the same stuff. But so after that, so one of the most fundamental parts of that album is then, the lyrebird.
Yeah.
So do you know the lyrebird, the Australian bird?
No.
So there's a bird that's like it can
You can make like any sound. Like
it can imitate the most complex waveforms that you can.
You could literally see one. There's videos online of lyrebirds like imitating full construction sites, like because somebody's been like building near them or something.
Biological sampler, man.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Someone's gonna feed it some like serum wavetables.
Okay, so what I'm
it can do way more complex shit. Like it can the sound of it can do reverb with its voice.
Yeah.
And it can cut
this is what
reverb.
I've talked to you about before.
It's
the first time
insane,
I encountered lyrebirds was growing up where I live. Is like one time on my dirt bike, my chain snapped about 10 k's from home down this gully and I had to push it home, which is something that happens to everyone that does that. So I'm pushing the bike home. It's on dusk and I'm just walking my bike along the trail in the middle of nowhere and I just hear a human wet reverb signal from the forest. And you're like, what the fuck is that? Because you're like, when you live in the bush in Australia or anywhere, where you've got valleys and canyons or whatever, here around here you call them canyons, but like, your neighbour, you can hear they're talking from a distance and all you can hear is wet reverb. Mm-hmm. The lyrebird hears this as well, so it just starts fucking making it. But it can just fucking make a wet reverb fucking signal like
Just hear like the low white noise.
That's really impressive.
And in the middle of it, it just busts out like every other bird that it hears and every other fucking sound it hears. Mm-hmm. And then it mixes them. And then like probably about 2 years ago, I followed one up near Dorrigo, like up the mountain from where I live. And I followed it for ages, filming it and recording audio. I've got the crazy audio of it. Okay, so it's making all these sounds, bird sounds, all shit, and then it just starts busting out the shit that you're like, okay, I do not know what that sound is.
Yeah.
I don't. That sound is not on Earth. It seems. I've never heard that sound. It's like this weird, like this percussive fucking. It's stuff that you could make on a synthesizer, but holy fuck!
Like, where's it getting that shit from?
500 tracks and all this crazy, like it's shit that you're not going to imagine it.
Yeah.
It's like this, like just these like fucking.
I saw a video of a lyrebird doing the sound of
physical modeling synthesis.
Carpless strung shit or whatever.
Just fucking crazy shit that you just can't work out.
Well, I heard there's a video on YouTube of a lyrebird making the sound of a kid's toy gun. Like the kid's sitting there next to him going like, choo, 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 choo. And then like the lyrebird just starts imitating it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So with the bird album, it's going to be a process of creating all this stuff that I was talking about, making the tracks, arranging stuff or mapping it onto my controllers, then in real time, like making some music with it, like those instruments, like any with you learned guitar and played it. So, but all of the generation, everything will be based on these frequencies, whatever. But then at some stage in the workflow, I haven't worked out where I'm going to make these little devices. So they're just a microcontroller with an SD card, with a stereo microphone, solar panel, car battery, speaker, a bunch of them. I know this one spot in the bush that I've found where there's when I last went up there, it's one of the highest peaks around where I live called Double Top. There's at least, I saw personally 3 different males doing their mating ritual stuff where they're doing their repertoires of sounds.
Lyrebirds? Oh, fuck yeah. So you're just
in
going
one
to
spot.
bring microphones?
So I'm going to put these little devices in there. It's very simple code. Just arms the microphone for 10 minutes, plays back a sound for 10 minutes. Arms the microphone for 10 minutes, plays back the sound. Just by chance, I'm going to capture one of those birds doing what I've put on that recording and fucking it up in its own way. And I'm going to get the bird. And the thing is with lyrebirds, man, okay, going back to like, what is that sound? And Aboriginal like Dreamtime stuff talks about this, like, and there's been a lot of people talk about like the research about lyrebirds. It's like once they learn a sound, they teach it to the other lyrebirds, and the lyrebirds teach the next lyrebirds and the next lyrebirds.
Right.
So those sounds that those lyrebirds are making are actually like
fairly ancient sounds too.
It could be old.
Man,
Yeah.
those sounds that I've heard, that you hear from a lyrebird, you're like, okay, I don't know what that is. It happened maybe in another fucking civilization. Maybe the lyrebird is containing stuff that we're not thinking about closely enough. Like I'm telling you, those sounds are shit that I've never fucking heard. Like anyone can go there and go, I've never heard that sound.
Right.
Even someone who's doing really crazy sound design that we don't fucking understand.
Yeah.
Who's using a shit ton of every kind of generation synthesis shit that we don't have the money or time or interest to use. Those dudes will go there and go, what the fuck is that sound? I can't fucking recreate.
Well, I can imagine, like, I would say, like, at the level that you're at, even you've probably made fucking almost every sound that's possible with a synthesizer and shit.
I've contemplated a lot of stuff. Of course,
I feel like I've made not every sound, but I've made like quite a like if I
with the tools you've got.
It's pretty rare that
tools, like
for sure, but
all of our techniques come from dudes bending tools.
Yeah.
The tools are made of
someone
metal, not
building
of
the
bird
tools.
meat.
That's true. Yeah, it's very rare though that I listen to like almost any music at this point and go like, how the fuck was that made? Or like I've never come across anything like that, you know. So, and I would imagine you're probably in the same boat.
Yeah, but I know that it's because the tools aren't being made.
Okay.
Like, that's what I think. But
So you think that
you can look at nature.
Are you saying that you think these
there's-
sounds that happen like way back in the day that these lyrebirds are now recreating are from
Totally, man.
tools that we don't have anymore or can't?
Not that they've heard from us. Maybe they've heard from
No,
some
yeah,
other-
that's what I'm saying. But you're saying like from a different civilization that maybe had different or better or just tools than we have.
Yeah, different. Like just it was a different time and maybe different creatures. Different
Yeah,
everything. Who
totally.
knows?
Yeah.
And it's
Fuck
like I'm pretty interested in that, and also we can learn from like the animals are teaching us that you can make all these other frequencies. You can do this crazy shit that our fucking machines can't do. It's like
Well, like, why would we make machines to do it if it's outside of our range that we can't hear? Because
no,
we're
but
making
the stuff
machines
that I'm talking about
to
is
pander
what
to
I can
humans.
hear.
Right?
The stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
The other thing I want to do with the lyrebirds, which I didn't mention, is I want to get sounds, animal communication that they don't normally hear, and play it to them.
Yeah.
Like the obvious ones, whales, fucking dolphins.
Yep.
I also want to get hydrophones and like speakers.
Oh,
play
I
the
have one of those
dolphins,
here.
Play the dolphins, the sound of a lyrebird, and record what the dolphin does.
Right. Try and like generate these like conversations and shit.
Like who knows what's going to happen, but it's like animals communicate. And also I thought of doing stuff with light. Okay. Record these light patterns that animals are doing, record these things, transcribe them, bring them down into a spectrum where a lyrebird might be able to hear it, the patterns, and play that to the lyrebird and see what it does. Like stuff that its ears aren't even designed to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's any point. It's like, it's kind of, there's no point, but it's like recording them doing their reaction to stuff they've never heard.
Right.
You know, if we get a synthesizer and make some sounds and play it to a lyrebird, it can fucking make them. Because that's what, like, I've heard sounds that I know the synthesizer probably can't make. Like, it could, but like...
No, it can definitely, like, the fact that a lyrebird, like, I've heard a lyrebird on YouTube recreate the sound of an entire construction site scene happening at the same time. And when you listen to it, you're like, that's clearly like somebody a few hundred meters away from this lyrebird's home was building shit, and
Yeah.
like it makes the sound of like a drill. It makes the sound of
nail
hammers
guns
and
and
shit, and it
hammers.
doesn't do it in a way where it's like just like dung 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 zin zin. It's like it does it in a way where it like generates the sound of the space too. So you like it sounds exactly like how far it was away from this
Yeah.
lyrebird's house. Like it generates like the reverb space and
Well, it
shit.
doesn't think. I guess it's not thinking of reverb as a space situation.
yeah.
It's just it's just a sound.
It just does the exact sound. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
So yeah, I want to use all of this stuff on that album.
Yeah.
And I haven't decided, like I said, where in the workflow, like the playing the Lyrebird, different stuff. But I'm going to start making these little devices soon and planning them up there in their mating season and trying to get them to recreate something that I've played to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm also very interested in the fact that that they will be making the sounds that I showed them.
Yeah,
in as long as they're around.
that's so sick. Yeah.
And but I'm mainly like, I'm so interested in the fact I would love to hear, and I've never heard what Aboriginal Australians, what their perspective on what lyrebirds are, because I'm pretty sure that they've got some pretty interesting shit to say about that.
They probably like I know that they
would have been fucking with lyrebirds big time.
massively, and I know that there's a little bird in Australia. It's like the wagtail bird or whatever. Like if you're ever hanging around with like a proper Aboriginal person, like who's pretty traditional, as soon as one of those birds will come near you, they'll just like stop having a conversation, and you'll be like, why? And they're like, because that fucking thing will like take this message and like shit. Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, they will stop talking around wagtail. I think they're called wagtail willies.
Yeah, willy wagtails.
Willy
the black
wagtails.
and
Yeah,
white
yep,
ones.
yep, yep. Yeah, they won't talk around them. It's crazy.
So what do you imagine to be like the presentation of your findings? Like how do you, because you can't bring a whole bunch of people out to the bush with you. It'll ruin the experience.
So that I have thought about that, and that's exactly what I wanted to do actually. But like
without obviously disrupting the nature and the experience.
yeah, okay. So
because otherwise you make your own job hard.
Okay, so there's two things that I've thought of with how to present what I've been talking about. The one that is definitely going to happen is the same as what happens now, except it's not that same character. I've got a bunch of different characters.
That's cool. Yeah,
but
most people don't realize that there's.
Well, there isn't yet, but there's
Of course.
always supposed to
Sure.
have been. Kind of, it's expensive and time
There's like
consuming
pictures
to
of
do
it on your Instagram. Right?
Yeah.
There's like a big hand with like a face.
Oh,
and-
I've seen that.
There's a hand with the face on the back. There's a
Well, I've
there's
seen
a
the
baby.
vagina ones.
There's a baby head. The vagina was a commission I did for someone, and now I sell them.
Mhm.
But there's a baby face. But the main one that I'm interested in, actually, which I think I've started the other two, and they're well into the sculpt. But I actually want to make this plant creature now. It's like a rose petal. The face petals up here. It's got like thorns all over it, like a rose. It's got a long nose again, but it's rose thorns on it, and it's going to be like weeping blood out of the thorns. It's like I'm all totally like plant man, like with crystal geodes for feet and crystals all over me with LEDs, and it's like this weird
Hell yeah.
plant man thing. So that's the one that's going to be used first with this music, but live because it's just the music's going to be. I'm going to make some like more some music that has some conventional structures, but it's going to be much more abstract. Like it's going to be completely generated from my inputs at that point. It'll be totally real time. So the music will be much, much different. But I have thought, like what you said, what are you going to take people to the bush? Yes, there's a vision that I have of like on my parents' property. There's a small lake, or a small dam, like a little lake thing, and there's actually a few on their property. But I have this idea of having a remember I was talking about the like the cicadas and orchestrating them?
Yeah.
I've got an idea to take that to another level where I have large DC motors controlled with PWM that can pull like a couple of tons, like industrial size motors attached to trees. So I can move the trees and like move the fucking plants, and also have strings going between the trees and have it all with tension sensors and tuning parts of the fucking trees as well. Just shit like this.
You also
I haven't gone that far into that stuff yet, but the overall visualization I've had of doing it in the bush is to have like, an amphitheater kind of thing, but it's around this small lake. And there's projectors in trees down onto the lake. And then the lake also has IR cameras and objects that you can throw into the lake, manipulate the water to generate input for the mapping for the IR to read the water ripples but then it's got overlaid graphics on it. So then there's feedback. So people are kind of looking around a pool in a sense. So they're looking in the pool, there's projection mapping in the pool that's going down, like go into the water. There's like this 3D shit going down to water, but then you're physically throwing shit into the water. You imagine turning a small lake into a grid. You know, that area, you throw something in there, it's going to bust the ripples, which is going to trigger something. It's going to do this. It's all connected. And at the same time, you're moving the trees and there's wind and fucking like just.
And you're also telling me.
Thought with taking people into the bush.
Also, you're telling me earlier you wanted to build some shit in the bush, like some giant reverb cabins or something like that.
Yeah, so on my parents' property, they offered that I build a purpose-built, I can build what I want on their land. And it didn't turn out to start with, but, you know, I would like to, when I was planning that, I wanted to start with to build a more conventional studio space for music and all my equipment, and kind of normal house, but then it's just got purpose-built studio rooms. But the more elaborate version of that is there's a central space, but then there's these small, nearly like treehouse style, but these small walkways over to these alternate kind of pod things, and they're like a gimbal, like an eye mechanism that you build for animatronics. So it's just two hemispheres with a hinge in the center. So you imagine just a round platform with two hemispheres, and it can open like that. So yeah, you can just hit a button, or it can be on ropes or something, and it just pulls the hemispheres back, and then there's a platform. So I want to have microphones to capture reverb at different distances from that space. There's two things going on. So I'd have speakers on those platforms, so I can play back and capture reverb at whatever distance I want, way out into the bush. I have cables under the ground, and so I can send a fucking kick out there. I can send it whatever, or just, you know, whatever, and just capture this natural reverb to use the gully, because there's gullies everywhere. You know, it's kind of at the top of a ridge, so I could put cameras on coming down the ridge, down the bottom of the ridge, up the other side, on the other side, past that. Send stuff really loud and fucking capture it from 500 meters away. And so that was what I was working towards with that, but also for live capturing, you know, I mentioned Squat Club before, using the forest sound as a noise floor and experimenting with that, and experimenting with music that when you get to zero, when you get to the noise floor of what, you know, the situation you're in, recording, you, instead of having silence, you have something else.
Mm-hmm.
Then integrating that as a kind of semi-permanent fixture into anything that I was to do after that, as still trying to make the music always integrating with the surroundings a bit more, and then using the input from that ambient noise to control parameters in the thing you're recording, and, you know, just trying to really integrate it just for the hell of it.
Fuck it, why not? This is long. This is 2.5 hours, so I reckon this is probably hitting the wall of
1 minute.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like these long form things, man. It's fun. It's good because it's so much information. It's way too much to share in a fucking Facebook post or something like that.
Totally.
It's a good other platform to talk about ideas and shit. But yeah, man, cheers for doing it. And
yeah, thanks for you guys talking. And
I'm glad that you came as well, Rob. That was sick.
We can converse about this stuff.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. All right, let's go get food and keep chatting about shit.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.